Chapter 865. The Nine Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. Lu Changxing walked out of his cave mansion feeling refreshed and realized he had been in closed-door cultivation for nearly 2 months. He took the ancient beast-taming charm from Ling Zixio's hand, and the voice of Wang Lin echoed in his mind, bringing him news. The Nine Netherhound has advanced to the second order? A look of joy appeared on Lu Changxing's face. Although he no longer considered second-order strength as something significant, the wish to fly on the back of the Nine Netherhound had long since been shattered. But it was still second-order strength after all. An extra foundation establishment spiritual pet to guard the home. Yes, young master. Inside the ancient beast-taming charm, Hong Lian's voice sounded. Immediately after, Lu Changxing walked out of Changxing Hall and had her release the advanced Nine Netherhound from the ancient beast-taming charm. Source, web novel. Updated on N0 New 0. The ancient beast-taming charm shimmered with colorful lights, and a shadowy light burst forth. It was indeed the Nine Netherhound. The Nine Netherhound's body was now enormous, standing about 3 meters tall. With a head like a wolf's, ferocious and terrifying, with vertical scarlet pupils between its brows, interlocking sharp fangs that were chillingly cold and intimidating beyond measure. Its body was covered in dense, dark hair, but if one were to comb through the hair, they could see a layer of glossy, black, scales, hard and cold. Not bad, not bad. As Lu Changxing sized up the Nine Netherhound before him, he stepped forward to stroke its fur, smiling. The dog before his eyes had been his first pet beast, who had accompanied him for so long. There were quite a few emotions there. Come, let me see just how strong you are. Lu Changxing gestured to the Nine Netherhound before him with a curl of his finger, signaling it to make a move against him and test its power. Awoo! The Nine Netherhound howled towards the sky, its body surging with demonic power, creating a fierce wind. This was not just a mere roar. It was a sonic attack, carrying a terrifying and ferocious force. Ordinary energy-refining cultivators, or even demon beasts, would be shaken to their core at such a roar, bleeding from all orifices and trembling with fear. Continue. Lu Changxing nodded, signaling the Nine Netherhound to keep going. The Nine Netherhound immediately turned into a blur, pouncing towards Lu Changxing with claws like daggers glinting with a cold light. Bang! Faced with such an onslaught, Lu Changxing remained calm and still, raising his hand to meet it head-on. It's about at the middle stage of the second order in body refinement. He commented aloud. For a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast like the Nine Netherhound, even just having broken through to the second order, it already possessed strength surpassing that of an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. Roar! From between the crisscrossed fangs of the Nine Netherhound, black ripples pulsed, giving its teeth an unstoppable cold gleam. This was its strongest attack, capable of damaging even spiritual artifacts. The novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing looked at the sharp fangs, his mouth twitching, and decided against experiencing a dog bite. He flicked his finger and sent a blade of sword chi towards the Nine Netherhound. In an instant, the Nine Netherhound's fur bristled like pine needles, exuding a dark luster that deflected 30% of the sword chi's strength. Then, like black metallic scales, it resisted and dissolved the sword chi, with only a few strands of fur drifting down. Very good. Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction. He was very pleased with the Nine Netherhound's strength, high attack power, high defense, and strong vitality. If it could advance further and awaken its bloodline supernatural powers, its strength would leap to another level. But seeing such demon beast strength, he couldn't help but think of Azure Phoenix Immortal's feat of fighting the 3 demon kings alone. Rumor had it that these 3 demon kings all possessed heavenly-grade bloodlines, with astonishing battle prowess. In comparison, this Azure Phoenix Immortal was indeed quite impressive. Even if the so-called solo combat included riding a third-order mount and bringing 500 Dao soldiers, his combat strength was unquestionable. Having been in the ancient beast-taming charm for so long, let's let you out for a while. Lu Changsheng looked at the 9 Netherhound before him and pondered aloud. Even though his family had the Mount Sumeru Tree King as its defender, it was not practical to activate the Great Formation and rely on Mount Sumeru for every situation that arose. Therefore, it made sense to let the 9 Netherhound preside over the home openly. Next, Lu Changxing informed Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge about the 9 Netherhound's advancement to the Second Order. After consulting, the three decided the 9 Netherhound would become the clan guardian spirit beast of Bihu Mountain, with the current family head of the Lu family taking care of and managing it. In this way, when the family faced some issues, the family head would also have the capacity to solve and deal with them. There was no need to notify Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, or Ling Zixiao about everything. Then, Lu Changsheng called Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun over to inform them about the 9 Netherhound. Xiao He has grown so big? Xiao He has advanced to a second-order monster beast? Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao were alright, as they were aware of many aspects of Lu Changsheng's situation. Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun, however, were quite surprised to see the second-order 9 Netherhound before them. After all, a second-order demon beast was equivalent to a foundation-building great cultivator. Even though Bihu Mountain now boasted Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and Bai Ling, 4 foundation establishment cultivators, the addition of a second-order demon beast was still astonishing. Especially since this second-order demon beast had once been an ordinary household dog in Qingzhou Mountain, playing with the children as a companion. Now to see the pet from those days advanced to the second order was quite a surreal experience for them. Not even a match for a dog. Lu Yun had vague memories of the 9 Netherhound, having played with it as a child. Later on, as he grew older, his father had sent the 9 Netherhound to the mundane world as a guard dog, and he hadn't seen it since. He never imagined that, after so many years, he had only broken through to the 6th level of energy refinement, while the once big black dog had become a second-order spiritual beast. "Father, I will surely take good care of Xiao He," Lu Yun immediately said respectfully. Xiao He is its nickname, its big name is Jiuyo. Lu Changxing felt constantly calling it Xiao He really lowered the prestige of the 9 Netherhound. After all, it was a heaven-rank demon beast and now the openly recognized clan guardian spirit beast of his Lu family. Jiuyo good? Lu Yun nodded in agreement. He also felt the name Xiao He was too commonplace. Why Xiao He you like this name? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 866. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. At this moment, Lu Changxing watched his daughter Lu Lingyi stare intently at the 9 Netherhound in Lu Miaoge's arms and laughed. Ya, Lu Lingyi babbled. Although Lu Changxing didn't understand baby talk, he still pinched her fair little cheek and said, "When you grow up, Daddy will give you one." According to the current lottery, the pets he acquired were basically cubs. But he most likely wouldn't need these cubs himself. Since that was the case, they could become pets for his children. In the future, every prodigy of the Lu family would have a heaven-rank spiritual pet as standard. "Lingyi, thank your daddy." Holding her son, Ling Zixiao smiled softly and said to her daughter. Although she didn't know where these top-tier demon beast cubs were coming from, having one grow alongside her children would greatly help their future cultivation. Ya, Lu Lingyi chattered on. Although she was only a few months old, it was evident that this daughter was much more lively than her brother Lu Lingxiao. This reminded Lu Changxing of his son Lu Qingshan and his daughter Lu Qingzhu in the past. One was lively and the other was quiet. Dawn broke with a pale light and clear skies. Screech! A black-winged golden-beaked eagle soared through the sky, flying over the Starfall Chess Arrangement mountain range and diving downwards. Is this by Lake Mountain? On the eagle, a middle-aged man around 40, with a heroic face, dressed in a black brocade robe, looked forward to the continuous mountains surrounding a vast, emerald green by Lake Mountain and said. Moments later, the eagle landed outside by Lake Mountain, kicking up a gust of wind. "Who goes there? May I ask your business at by Lake Mountain?" The disciple guarding the gate shouted upon seeing the visitor. One of the disciples, dressed in the apparel of By Lake Mountain and a member of the Lu family, showed surprise on seeing the heroic figure in a black robe, hesitantly asked with some uncertainty, "You are Uncle Li?" "Indeed, it's me." Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Li Feiyu smiled slightly as he was recognized by the other, but he couldn't immediately recall the other's name. When he left years ago, aside from individuals like Lu Pingon who were in their teens, most of the children were still toddlers. Now, more than 20 years had passed, and those children had grown up. Even as a cultivator with extraordinary memory, he could not fully recognize them from their childhood features. "Uncle Li, please wait here while I go inform the family head, my father," the Lu family's descendant said. He recognized Li Feiyu, but still followed protocol and did not open the gate immediately, instead going to notify the family head. Lu family mansion. "That's wonderful, my Zhenzhen is really amazing." Lu Changxing was with Chu Zhenzhen and Bai Ling, hearing that Chu Zhenzhen had finished the refinement of the auspicious tree and begun proper refinement. As for Lu Miaohuan, since the abyssal ghoul blossom was a level more difficult, it would take much longer to refine. Just then, Lu Yun came to the outside of the hall to inform that Li Feiyu had arrived. "Uncle Li?" Lu Changxing was startled, then reacted with surprise and excitement. "You mean Feiyu is here?" "Yes, it is indeed Li Feiyu, Uncle Li." Lu Yun nodded. He knew his father and Li Feiyu had a good relationship but was unclear on the specifics. "Good." Lu Changxing nodded in response, immediately transformed into an escape light and flew out from Bai Yun Peak, heading to the mountain gate. He had been concerned about Li Feiyu's safety ever since the substitute talisman had transmitted a signal. Knowing now that Li Feiyu had returned safely filled him with joy. "Mountain Master, father." The guarding cultivators saw Lu Changxing and immediately bowed in salute. Lu Changxing nodded, opened the gate, and with a smile said to the heroic figure in a black brocade robe, "Li Feiyu, Feiyu, you have finally returned. I encountered some unexpected events, which led to the delay." Li Feiyu said with some emotion. He certainly remembered the time frame he had promised before. So, after breaking through to Foundation establishment, he had settled his affairs in Azure Phoenix Immortal City and immediately hurried back. "It seems the unexpected events worked out for the best. Congratulations on your breakthrough to Foundation establishment." Lu Changxing, whose divine sense now surpassed most at the Foundation establishment peak, noticed at a glance that Li Feiyu had broken through Foundation establishment. Foundation establishment? The people nearby were astonished to hear this, looking at Li Feiyu with surprise. They had not expected that he was a foundation-building great cultivator. A look of respect instantly appeared in their eyes. "It was just some luck, and actually, I owe a lot to you, Changxing," Li Feiyu said earnestly. "Oh, it's related to me?" Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow with interest. "Let's go inside and talk." He didn't ask further and invited Li Feiyu into Bai Lake Mountain. This Bai Lake Mountain surrounded by hills and water really looks pretty good. As the two flew toward Bai Yun Peak, Li Feiyu looked around at the scenery and commented. As a Foundation establishment cultivator, who had spent many years wandering the outside world, he had some discernment. He could see that the environment and spiritual energy of Bai Lake Mountain were exceptional. Indeed it is quite nice." Lu Changxing laughed loudly, introducing the situation of his home to his friend. "That mountain up ahead is Bai Yun Peak, the main vein of my Lu family. That one is called Lingzui Cliff, our family's spirit medicine garden, and over there lies Bai Shui Lake, where we breed aquatic life. You may have heard of the red blood carp and blue blood carp, but recently I bred some aquatic spiritual beasts. Changxing, you are truly enjoying life, with the family being so well ordered," Li Feiyu said with emotion, admiring the surroundings. For the years he had been outside striving and cultivating, he sometimes considered whether to give it all up and settle down. Having a family spirit land of one's own and not drifting about is probably the ultimate dream for a loose cultivator. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 867. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. You've now broken through to Foundation establishment. If you wish, you can also seek out a spirit land and establish a family just like I did, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. I'll think about that later, Li Feiyu said, gently shaking his head. He thought the life was nice, but he didn't entertain such notions, especially since he had just gained the opportunity to join the Azure Phoenix Guards under the Azure Phoenix Immortal. As long as he seized this chance, he hoped to break through to the middle stage and late stage of Foundation establishment in the future. All right, Bihu Mountain welcomes you anytime, Lu Changxing said without trying to persuade him further. He could tell that Li Feiyu's Dao heart was very firm. People like this usually didn't stop in their tracks to choose a comfortable life. The two of them arrived at Bai Yun Peak. Uncle pays his respects to Li Feiyu. Lu Yun was waiting outside and immediately greeted Li Feiyu when he saw him. Although his memory was a bit fuzzy and he didn't quite recognize Li Feiyu, he could still identify him. This is Lu Yun. Feiyu, you should remember him, Lu Changxing said to Li Feiyu. So it's Lu Yun. Time flies, he's grown so much, Li Feiyu said, realizing the other was the son of Miao Yun, the fourth elder of the Lu family. His expression revealed a hint of nostalgia. He hadn't gone home on this visit. Over 20 years had passed by now, and his own children were likely settled down. He took a bracelet from his storage bag and said, "Here, this is a gift from your Uncle Li." "Ha, Feiyu, there's no need to be polite. Otherwise, your storage bag may not be enough for all the gifts," Lu Changxing teased with a smile. "Those who come first get first served," Li Feiyu said, chuckling, and he let Lu Yun accept the bracelet. But Lu Yun didn't know if he should accept it. "Since it's a gift from your Uncle Li with all his heart, you should take it," Lu Changxing said when he saw his honest son hesitating. He never liked this kind of excessive formality. The two arrived at the Lu family mansion. Lu Changxing briefly introduced Li Feiyu. Miao Yun, Chu Zhenzhen, and others were quite surprised when they saw Li Feiyu and learned that he had broken through to Foundation establishment. After all, in the Qingyun region, a Foundation establishment cultivator could be considered an ancestor of a domain. Li Feiyu, with a low-quality spiritual root who had been an idle son-in-law in Qingzhou Mountain for years, had somehow broken through to Foundation establishment upon his return. Especially Miao Yun. She came from Qingzhou Mountain and knew the difficulty of Foundation establishment. Xianxia the Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. For many years, Qingzhou Mountain had only just managed to continue the lineage of Foundation establishment until the situation had recently improved. Who would have thought that among the immortal seedlings brought back by Uncle Yuan Ding, 2 Foundation establishment cultivators, Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu, would emerge? If word got out, it would be nothing short of astonishing. Li Feiyu looked at the many women and children in his home, thinking that his good brother had truly not forgotten his beginnings and had always stayed constant. Thinking about how he fought for his life outside while Lu Changxing lived such a life and broke through to Foundation establishment with ease, even with his firm Dao heart, he couldn't help but feel envious. However, he was happy to see his good brother's life getting better and better. After a while, someone arranged for food and drinks, and the two went to the side hall to catch up and chat. "It's also a matter of fate and fortune," Li Feiyu said, holding his wine cup and recounting his experience. "That day, in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, I ran into an old nemesis who chased me and encountered a second-order monster beast blocking the way. Facing such a situation, it was like facing certain death, but thankfully, it was the talisman you gave me, Changxing, that saved my life. Then, under the transportation of the talisman, I arrived deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and guess what happened next?" Li Feiyu continued. Lu Changxing was speechless. He had previously speculated that if Li Feiyu encountered danger in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, if the substitute talisman transported him deeper, that would be dangerous. He had not expected such a situation to actually occur. Could it be that you just happened to come across some cave mansion or secret realm, or perhaps some treasure? Lu Changxing asked, raising an eyebrow. "Correct, but you definitely couldn't guess the situation at the time," Li Feiyu continued, taking a bite of his food. "Didn't you have a treasure map of an ancient relic site before?" I was just transported right outside the relic marked on the treasure map. Amazing, Lu Changxing said after a moment of silence, uttering 2 words. Whether following the plot of a novel or as a character favored by luck in the cultivation world, Li Feiyu had indeed obtained a main character's template. He continued to ask, isn't that relic deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range supposed to be dangerous? The treasure map contained information on the relics, with many hidden dangers and challenges. It would not be simple for Li Feiyu, who was at the Qi refinement realm, to gain something from it. No, I didn't explore that relic site. There, I happened to meet the Azure Phoenix Immortal, Li Feiyu said. The Azure Phoenix Immortal? The #1 independent cultivator of Jiang Kingdom and the city lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City? Lu Changxing exclaimed in surprise. Yes, by providing information from the treasure map to the Azure Phoenix Immortal, I was granted this chance to break through to Foundation establishment. And the Azure Phoenix Immortal promised that if I broke through to Foundation establishment, I would be allowed to join the Azure Phoenix Guards, and if the breakthrough failed, I would be given a sum of spirit stones, Li Feiyu affirmed. After finishing, he got up, took out a storage bag with a serious expression, and said, Changxing, my obtaining this opportunity is largely thanks to you. This is a little token of my gratitude. Lu Changxing marveled at Li Feiyu's fortune and saw his friend suddenly act this way, immediately waving his hand and saying, Feiyu, you're being too formal. You've just broken through to Foundation establishment and need resources. There's no need for this. He had no interest in the ancient relic site from the treasure map. Seeing his friend obtain the opportunity for Foundation establishment through it, he was happy for him and felt it was worth it. Just accept it, Changxing. Otherwise, I really can't be at peace, Li Feiyu insisted earnestly, placing the storage bag in front of Lu Changxing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 868. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. _4 This spirit stone was obtained after he broke through to Foundation establishment and took revenge by killing Zhu He, then selling off his possessions for spirit stones. But he knew that compared to the opportunity he had obtained, these spirit stones were hardly worth mentioning. Okay. Lu Changxing understood his friend's character and nodded in agreement. At that moment, he suddenly thought of the rumors about Azure Phoenix Immortal's injuries and asked aloud, Feiyu, I've heard Azure Phoenix Immortal was gravely injured. Is that true or false? Could the Immortal have been injured while exploring this ancient relic site? Lu Changxing asked in such a manner. The news might be true, or it might be a deliberate release by Azure Phoenix Immortal City. SAR the Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I previously swore a heart demon oath not to speak of what is within the relic site, Li Feiyu spoke in a low voice. Azure Phoenix Immortal City deliberately released it. Lu Changxing narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling that these words carried a more intriguing implication. He pondered and said, I remember Azure Phoenix Immortal isn't young anymore, right? Indeed, the city lord was already famous 200 years ago. By now, he should be 300 to 400 years old. Therefore, there are rumors that the city lord has reached the core formation peak long ago and has been out of the public eye for these years, all in pursuit of the nascent soul, Li Feiyu said with a touch of emotion. From a loose cultivator to his current status, aiming for the nascent soul, Azure Phoenix Immortal could be considered legendary. 300 to 400 years old, Lu Changxing nodded. Once a nascent soul cultivator exceeds 350 years old, the probability of forming a nascent soul significantly decreases. If they exceed 400 years, there is essentially no hope of forming a nascent soul. Azure Phoenix Immortal's age makes it impossible to delay any longer, and it's likely that all his actions in recent years have been driven by the pursuit of the nascent soul. Attaining the nascent soul is not easy. Our Jiang country cultivation realm seems to only have the Heavenly Sword sect with a 4th-order spirit vein. Lu Changxing took a light sip of his drink and continued to speak. He had discussed this issue with Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xie before. He knew that in the entire Jiang country, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a fourth-order spirit vein capable of nurturing a nascent soul's foundation. Even Qingyun sect, Luoxia sect, and Spirit Taming sect only had third-order top-grade spirit veins. And certainly, the Heavenly Sword sect would not lend their spirit vein to Azure Phoenix Immortal for his breakthrough. That's right, even after so many years of cultivation, Azure Phoenix Immortal City's spirit vein is only a third-order superior grade, far from reaching the fourth order. Moreover, Azure Phoenix Immortal City, located near the Myriad Beasts mountain range and on the border of Jiang Country and Yu Country, is a place neither side wants the city lord to succeed in forming a nascent soul. Li Feiyu shook his head and said. He had been won over by the various deeds and personal charisma of Azure Phoenix Immortal in his early years. Now that he had become a member of Azure Phoenix Immortal City and had contact with this legendary figure, he held even greater admiration. TSK TSK TSK. Lu Changxing clicked his tongue in wonder, thinking to himself just how difficult it was to break through to the nascent soul. As a loose cultivator in Jiang Country, break through to core formation is possible. But to break through to the nascent soul without going to another country or seeking opportunities abroad, there was virtually no chance. In the future, forming his own nascent soul would also pose the same issue. However, this was still too far away. The matter of core formation hadn't even been decided upon yet. Feiyu, now that you've joined Azure Phoenix Immortal City, do you plan to return afterward? Lu Changxing looked at Li Feiyu and asked. Yes, once I've settled my family situation back home, they'll go back, Li Feiyu said, his expression somewhat grave. Pursuing the Great Tao inevitably meant leaving behind many emotional ties. His return this time was intended to take care of all his family matters. Okay, let me know when you're heading to Rui Prefecture. I'll go with you, Lu Changxing nodded and said. The Lu family now also had a certain influence in Rui Prefecture. Moreover, his children were related by marriage to Li Feiyu's children, so it was the right time to visit. Li Feiyu nodded in response. Li Feiyu had stayed on by Lake Mountain for 3 days before he set out for Rui Prefecture with Lu Changxing. Chu Zhenjin, having completed the ritual refinement of the auspicious tree, could not leave by Lake Mountain once she began to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Thus, accompanying them was also to prepare for a later visit to Zhoushan Mansion to pay homage to her parents. And as it happened, Lu Wangshu had heard about it and was curious to see what his secular family home was like. In this way, Lu Changxing, along with his wife, children, and Li Feiyu, arrived in Rui Prefecture. The arrival of these individuals in Rui Prefecture caused no small stir for the Li family and Hong Yi. After all, Li Feiyu, who had been away for more than 20 years, had returned. Li Feiyu's wife and children were somewhat incredulous upon seeing him and hesitated to recognize him. Sigh. Lu Changxing, seeing such a scene, sighed inwardly. In the face of such a situation, Li Feiyu simply entrusted his family to Lu Changxing, hoping he would help take care of them in the future. He then left his father and brothers some elixir medicines, talisman scriptures, and a basic cultivation technique. Upon learning of Li Feiyu's breakthrough to foundation establishment, Hong Yi felt a mix of emotions. He thought back to the time when the 6 of them had taken the Immortal sect's assessment together, and now had achieved foundation establishment. They had become lofty foundation-building great cultivators. Although Han Lin had not made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, he was nonetheless far superior to him in status, thanks to his artifact refining skills and his identity as an Immortal sect disciple. If I had focused on cultivation instead of getting involved in the affairs of power, might I have had the hope of reaching foundation establishment? Hong Yi mused to himself. He suspected that Zhao Qingqing's breakthrough had something to do with Lu Changxing. Now, after conversing and learning that Li Feiyu's foundation establishment owed much to Lu Changxing, he couldn't help but think that with his relationship with Lu Changxing, had he seriously cultivated earlier, perhaps foundation establishment would have been possible for him. But after some deliberation, he realized he simply did not possess Li Feiyu's determination to forsake everything for the sake of cultivation. Even now, at the 9th level, given a foundation establishment elixir, his chances of making that breakthrough were virtually nil. Black Cloud Mountain Range. deep within a mining vein. Miss Lu, why bother? Although by Lake Mountain offers good terms, to my knowledge, you're hardly valued and your prospects for foundation establishment are slim. If you agree to cooperate with White Tiger Mountain, my Zhao family is willing to share 10% of the profits from this spirit stone mine with you. Furthermore, if you are willing to marry into my Zhao family, not only will you not lack for resources, but you will also get a share of foundation establishment spiritual objects in the future. The Zhao family elder tried to persuade Lu Rui, who was bound before him. He had not expected the matter with the mining vein to be detected so quickly by this young girl. She had stealthily infiltrated with the help of an invisibility talisman and discovered the spirit stone mine concealed by a formation. Elder Zhao, if you release me now, I can overlook this incident as if it never happened. Otherwise, should anything happen to me, once my family learns of it and investigates, the Zhao family will not be able to escape responsibility. Lu Rui said coldly. Though she had an 8th grade spiritual root and her mother was a concubine, not garnering much attention in the family, at least she had a good family environment without any intrigue or sordid schemes. Her brothers, like Lu Pingan and Lu Xinji, took good care of her as their sister. And not only did the family provide plentiful resources for her and her siblings, but they also offered a variety of choices for lifestyles, which was 100 times better than other families. She knew well that, in most families with her level of talent, the ultimate fate was alliance through marriage to another family. But in the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, she had the right to choose. Especially now, when many smaller families in the surrounding area took pride in marrying into the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. She really didn't hold White Tiger Mountain's Xiao family in high regard. Miss Lu, I urge you to think it over carefully. After all, demon beasts frequently roam the Black Cloud Mountain range. It would be quite normal for you to encounter danger here and be devoured by a demon beast. Seeing his polite entreaties fall on deaf ears, the Zhao family elder said with a cold voice. He then instructed 2 of the family's young people to keep a close watch on Lu Rui. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 869, White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. Rui County City. Li Feiyu had been settling family matters these days. Lu Changxing, on the other hand, had been taking his wife and children on trips around the area. Just then, Lu Changxing felt an inexplicable sensation surge through his heart. Given the previous situation with Li Feiyu, he could confirm that it was his substitute talisman being used. Who could it be? It doesn't seem like Pingan or Qingshan, Qingzhu? Lu Changxing was puzzled in his heart. The sensation was very faint. Yet, he could somehow sense that this talisman use was not like before with Li Feiyu, originating from a distant place. Could it be Xianji, Rui, or Chuanjin who are in danger? He furrowed his brows, guessing in his heart. Currently, there were 14 Lu family disciples out handling family matters. Apart from Lu Pingan, Lu Qingshan, and Lu Qingzhu who were not around, the other Lu family disciples had not traveled far. They were just managing business and family affairs in the surrounding area. This was why there had never been any mishaps among the Lu family disciples. After pondering for a while, Lu Changxing exhaled lightly and said, "Xinjin, there is something at home, I need to go back." "Dear, what happened at home?" Chu Xinjin immediately asked with concern. Just a small matter that needs to be handled," Lu Changxing said softly. Hearing this, Chu Xinjin did not continue to inquire further. Soon after, Lu Changxing returned to the county city, informed Li Feiyu that he needed to go back due to some issues. "Changxing, is there something wrong?" Li Feiyu, hearing that Lu Changxing needed to return suddenly, immediately asked. "Do you remember the talisman I gave you? I refined it with my heart's blood, so I can sense it vaguely. Not long ago, I sensed that a talisman had been activated. It must be one of the children at home who is in danger." After a moment of contemplation, Lu Changxing spoke. "I'll come with you, maybe I can be of some help." Li Feiyu immediately offered. No need for such a big fuss, it might just be a robber cultivator threat." Lu Changxing shook his head and chuckled. As he saw it, their children were only active around the area, and the only possibility was encountering a nomadic robber cultivator. However, considering the flaws of the substitute talisman, that being its erratic teleportation, should this child, like Li Feiyu, be transported to a dangerous place, it would then be troublesome. It's fine, I've almost dealt with the situation here, Li Feiyu said. Alright, since that's the case, let's go back and check. Lu Changxing, seeing this, nodded. He then took his wife and children and headed back to Blue Lake Mountain, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing Mine Site. Besides the Zhao family disciples managing the operations here as cultivators, most of the miners were ordinary humans. However, to be a miner here, one needed to be skilled in the martial path. Otherwise, even with a magic artifact, it would be impossible to endure the intense workload day and night. Outside the mine, an elder in a purple robe, who felt something, hurried out of the room. He immediately saw an old man in his 50s, with gray hair and a tall stature, descending from a flying boat. He hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. Ancestor, what brings you here? This purple-robed elder was none other than the Zhao family ancestor from White Tiger Mountain. Elder 9, what have you done? I asked you to be careful, and in such a short time, this girl has come to know about the Spirit Stone Mine? The Zhao family ancestor spoke sternly, disappointed. This Spirit Stone Mine was not large, just a small vein. If mined with full effort, it could be exhausted in 3 to 5 years. So, he thought that even if it were mined for a year or two, by the time it was discovered by the Blue Lake Mountain, it wouldn't matter. Yet, it had only been a few months since they began mining, and it had already been discovered by the other side. Moreover, the situation had become so stiff, which truly annoyed him. Ancestor, please forgive me. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The purple-robed elder immediately bowed, his face showing a bitter expression. I didn't expect that this girl would notice something was off and later entered the mine with a stealth talisman to investigate. What about this girl now? Is she willing to cooperate? The Zhao family ancestor asked coldly. Ancestor, this girl is tough and unyielding. Why not use the demon-attracting fragrance and just throw her into the mountain range? Demons often appear in this Black Cloud Mountain Range, and for a 6th-level energy refinement girl to die out there would be nothing unusual. Even if Blue Lake Mountain has suspicions, they couldn't possibly blame our family, could they? Moreover, I've inquired about it. Blue Lake Mountain relies solely on Lu Changxing and his wives, and currently, they don't have many capable children. By the time Blue Lake Mountain arranges for someone else to come, who knows when it will be, by then, we would have almost mined this vein. The purple-robed elder spoke. In his view, although she was from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, Lu Changsheng's daughter. Yet, with Lu Changxing having 100 or 2 children, losing 1 or 2 would be unnoticed. Could they really cause a big stir and trouble their Zhao family for that? Lu Changxing takes relationships very seriously. He values feelings greatly. When he established the Blue Lake Mountain, he spent thousands of spirit stones to bring his secular wives and children to Blue Lake Mountain and even held a wedding with his mortal wives. Even if this girl isn't valued, try your best not to let him suspect our Zhao family in this matter. The Zhao family ancestor's demeanor remained calm as he spoke coldly. He was eager to swallow this spirit stone mine, but if possible, he preferred not to provoke Blue Lake Mountain. After all, the couple of Blue Lake Mountain Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge both practiced the dual cultivation technique, making their combat strength extraordinary. They also had Ling Zixiao, an array master. Ancestor, since that's the case, we just need to pretend to let this girl escape and secretly have someone follow her. When she is on her way back to Blue Lake Mountain, disguise as a robber cultivator and eliminate her. By then, Blue Lake Mountain can't possibly blame our Zhao family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 870, White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. The purple-robed elder continued to speak, At his age, having spent so many years in the cultivation world, he naturally had carried out many such deeds. Or rather, it could be said that most cultivators who live to an old age possess some means. Just do as you said. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor pondered for a moment and then nodded. At that time, I will take action myself. Where is the girl? He continued, preparing to confirm the situation to ensure nothing goes wrong. Elder ancestor, right this way please. The purple-robed elder immediately spoke respectfully. A moment later, the two arrived at a damp and dark mine. Where is the person? I asked you, where is the person? The purple-robed elder looked at the emotionally blank puppet Lu Rui in the mine, his face twisted with rage, loudly questioning two Zhao family juniors. It was not only him. The Zhao family ancestor also had an extremely cold expression, his fists tightly clenched. Once Lu Rui had discovered the spirit stone mine, there was only a dead end for her. Even if she surrendered and married into their Zhao family, her future held only death. But now, the person had disappeared, leaving only a puppet? Elder ancestor, elder, we truly do not know what happened. The two Zhao family juniors, terrified, trembled and knelt to beg for mercy. How could you handle things like this? He, Lu Changxing, a talisman master by origin, his children surely would possess life-saving talismans. Could it be that you did not even know to search the body and check thoroughly? The Zhao family ancestor, looking at the purple-robed elder, spoke with a voice filled with murderous rage. With such an incident occurring, once Lu Rui returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, their Zhao family would be in danger. Had it not been for the fact that the man before him was his own brother, he would have wished to strike him down. Elder ancestor, I have already seized the girl's storage bag and checked her body. There absolutely were no magic artifacts, talismans, or treasures. The purple-robed elder hastily explained. He then, with bloodshot eyes, continued to question the two Zhao family juniors about what happened. The two Zhao family juniors also realized the gravity of the situation. Finally, with grimaces on their faces, they truthfully confessed that since Lu Rui had been unwilling to submit, they had planned to apply some means to force her compliance. Who could have expected that Lu Rui would suddenly emit a layer of white light from her body and then transform into a wooden puppet? Faced with this situation, they also did not know what to do and were just discussing how to report this. Then the elder ancestor and the elder arrived. Useless trash, you truly deserve to die. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor was so enraged that he directly kicked the two men. The kick sent the two Zhao family juniors flying out, smashing hard against the mine's stone wall and spitting blood. Not only had the two caused such an issue, Sir the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But when a problem arose, they had not immediately reported it. Had he not personally come over, by the time the news meandered its way back to their family from the mine, Lu Changxing might have already reached their White Tiger Mountain. By then, his family would surely be facing a dead end. Elder ancestor, what do we do now? The purple-robed elder, also looking distressed, inquired, unsure of what to do. What to do? You still have the face to ask me what to do? On hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor became angry again and kicked towards the purple-robed elder. Pointing at the ground at the puppet, he said, "This girl clearly escaped using a talisman. You couldn't even manage this properly and you've messed everything up. Why don't you just go die?" To be at such an age and still fail to properly search someone, allowing them to escape, it made the Zhao family ancestor tremble with rage. The purple-robed elder tried to argue and insisted that he really had conducted a thorough search. But at this moment, with the facts before his eyes, he knew that any explanation was pointless. He immediately clenched his teeth and said, "Elder ancestor, she must have left just a short while ago. Why don't you take me to Bihu Lake Mountain to ask for forgiveness?" Claiming that you did not know about this matter, that it had nothing to do with White Tiger Mountain, and that it was entirely my fault. The purple-robed elder thus spoke. Knowing that only by doing this, could he potentially diminish the gravity of the situation. This issue is not as simple as you think. Rumors from outside claim that Lu Changxing is famously easygoing. Do you really think he is easy to provoke? How did Bihu Lake Mountain come about, and what happened to the Yu family in the end? This man has connections within Qingyun sect. Perhaps when the Yu family colluded with the demon path, it was all Lu Changsheng's deliberate scheme, utterly ruthless and thorough. Now that Bihu Lake Mountain has 3 foundation establishment cultivators and a Dao companion from Qingyun sect, with the family flourishing, just a couple more foundation establishment, and the family's spirit land would no longer suffice. Given this chance, how could he let this go and make it small? As the Zhao family ancestor spoke more, the more enraged and fearful he became. Never had he expected such a small matter to be bungled. He couldn't help but regret. Had he known this would happen, he might as well have disclosed the spirit stone mine matter himself. Given the current situation of Bihu Lake Mountain, his own family might have managed to gain some benefits. Elder ancestor, then what should we do? The purple-robed elder, upon hearing this, spoke with a mournful expression. He, of course, understood that from a son-in-law to his position today, Lu Changsheng's dealings in the dark were certainly not simple. Just establishing a family and acting as a family head, whether for himself or his family, he usually took great care of his reputation. In the early years, our White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge shared some fellowship. Though the Spirit Stone Mine is not large, if we present it, it might be possible to persuade Golden Dragon Ridge to step in and help. After all, with Bihu Lake Mountain rising day by day, Golden Dragon Ridge would not want to see our family in trouble. The Zhao family ancestor said with an ugly expression. Golden Dragon Ridge and White Tiger Mountain's founding elders were sworn brothers. Thus, the two families had always supported each other and had a very good relationship. But 100 years ago, for some unknown reason, there was a huge fallout between the elders of the two families, cutting off their relations, and ever since, their relationship had cooled. Unexpectedly, the elder of Golden Dragon Ridge broke through to a false core. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 871. White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge, Dragon Seeker. From now on, Jinlong Ridge had a false core patriarch in residence, and its fortune soared. Meanwhile, White Tiger Mountain gradually fell into decline, the sun setting in the west, with only one foundation establishment cultivator and an old, second-rank clan guardian spirit beast. Jinlong Ridge. The purple-robed elder's face showed a touch of distress. Although the two families had been on good terms in the early years, the bonds of kinship had already faded. One could even say that if it weren't for the sake of these kinship ties and the fear of tarnishing their reputation, White Tiger Mountain would have already fallen into the hands of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. But now, the Zhao family had no other choice but to seek help from Jinlong Ridge. Although White Tiger Mountain still had other allies, families that they were on good terms with, these family forces clearly would not want to antagonize by Lake Mountain. However, before that, you must immediately head to the paths around by Lake Mountain to see if you can intercept that girl. Then send people to Red Leaf Valley Market, Qingzhou Mountain, and Hundred Birds Lake to intercept her together. If, as you said, this girl does not have a transmission talisman and cannot send a message to by Lake Mountain for help, we still have a chance. Zhao family ancestor continued. Yes, ancestor, I'll go right away. The purple-robed elder, as if seeing a glimmer of hope, promptly responded. A desolate mountain wilderness. This, the talisman my father gave us, is so extraordinary. Lu Rui, after a dizzy spell, took a long time to recover her senses, and found it somewhat unbelievable. She had been bound, her spiritual power completely restrained, unable to be utilized. Yet she had still managed to activate the talisman through her mental spirit. Where am I? Lu Rui surveyed her surroundings, recognizing only a desolate wilderness, but unsure of her exact location. I should have used the talisman my father gave me to escape immediately. If I had the Iron Feather Eagle and a map now, I would know where I am and could quickly return home to inform my father. She bit her lip, regretting her handling of the situation when faced with danger. She had completely forgotten about the life-saving talisman her father had given her, failing to escape immediately. This led to her storage bag and spiritual pet bag being taken, making the journey back to by Lake Mountain rather troublesome. My family said being away from home is very dangerous. All the cultivators you meet could potentially turn into robber cultivators. And the place I am now might have demon beasts lurking, which would be extremely dangerous. At this moment, Lu Rui began to cautiously contemplate how she could safely return home. Now she had no magic artifacts, no talismans. Merely at the 6th level of energy refinement, having only cultivated a few basic techniques, her combat ability was among the weakest of her peers. By Lake Mountain. After returning to the family, Lu Changxing immediately had his son Lu Yun check the status of the Lu family disciples currently outside to identify which child had encountered an accident. Lu Yun was still unaware of the incident with Lu Rui, but on his father's orders, he didn't ask questions and went straight to verify. Lu Changxing then waited at home for news. Congratulations, host. Your progeny has successfully borne 200 descendants. You have earned 1 raffle opportunity. At that moment, a system notification sounded in Lu Changxing's mind. 200, Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows. His 200th child, also, was about to be born. But unexpectedly, the number of his grandchildren had stepped up faster, surpassing his own. See Teach Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is the power of having many people. Lu Changxing exhaled softly, murmuring to himself. He could faintly feel that this grandchild also had a spiritual root. But the spiritual root was probably of low quality, which for him, possessing a first-grade spiritual root, was of minimal effect. System, draw. Lu Changxing thought silently in his mind. Immediately, the raffle wheel appeared, glowing golden. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2nd-rank dragon-seeking technique. The reward has been sent to system space. The host can check it anytime. A light sphere, resembling the pattern of earth veins, emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by the system's voice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 872. Accusing White Tiger Mountain, something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Dragon seeking? A dragon seeker? Lu Changxing saw this skill and his face immediately showed a mix of surprise and delight. He had heard a thing or two about this craft before. Later, from Wang Lin he learned in detail that a dragon seeker possessed the abilities to survey spirit veins, explore mines, pinpoint dragon acupoints, and cultivate spirit veins. At that time, he had thought if he could draw a feng shui master or dragon-seeking skill, there would be a way to accelerate the upgrading of the family's spirit vein. He hadn't expected the system to grant him a 2nd-order dragon seeking so quickly. Unfortunately, it's only a 2nd order. I wonder to what extent this 2nd-order dragon seeker can perform? Lu Changxing commented somewhat regretfully. With his current eye for talent, a 2nd-order skill was already somewhat beneath his notice. He looked at the 2nd-order dragon-seeking technique in the system space. 2nd-order dragon-seeking technique. After use, you can directly acquire 2nd-order full-level dragon-seeking technique and basic technique knowledge. Source: Web Novel. Com. Updated on Omicron 0.0. Activate. Lu Changxing said without any hesitation. In an instant, a vast torrent of knowledge surged into his mind. After a long time, dragon acupoints pinpointing, spirit vein surveying, so the primary methods of a dragon seeker rely on divine perception and a pair of eyes. No wonder such inheritances are rare and not famous anywhere. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his expression slightly enlightened, having grasped the various methods of a dragon seeker. See Tichnell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A dragon seeker, through divine perception and pupil techniques, senses spirit veins, pierces through illusions, penetrates to the origin, and locates spirit veins and spirit origin. The method spoken of by Wang Lin, which involved severing the spirit vein's origin, was also included. Such techniques were profoundly mysterious and somewhat similar to a spiritual plant master's transplantation technique but were much more difficult. A mistake in severing spirit veins could mean the destruction of a spirit vein. Even if the severing succeeded, the process would still incur severe degradation. For example, a complete second-order top-grade spiritual vein might lose half of its origin after being severed. It was precisely for such reasons that there were hardly any dragon seekers daring to cultivate these methods. After all, who had the capital to practice on spirit veins? However, aside from these severing methods, there were several techniques in Lu Changsheng's mind to nurture spirit veins, which could accelerate the growth of spirit veins. Origin Spirit Divine Perception, Origin Spirit Pupil Skill. Lu Changsheng experienced the two main techniques of a dragon seeker. Although he had acquired full-level skills, these two techniques could not simply be understood through contemplation. They required cultivation, the consumption of heavenly and earthly treasures, and continual strengthening of one's divine perception and eyes. Only in this way could one sense through divine perception the presence of spirit veins and spirit ores within the landscapes and mountains. And then, through the pupil skill, locate the exact position of the spirit vein and discern its origin. I'll pass on the origin spirit divine perception since I'm not really going to become a dragon seeker, but I might cultivate this origin spirit pupil skill. In my home, there is a luminous treasure tree whose essence can be used to cleanse the eyes, enhancing the spiritual eye technique. Moreover, Miaoyun has sacrificed the luminous treasure tree as her life-bound spiritual root, allowing me to dual cultivate with her, clear-sighted and bright-eyed, which makes cultivating such a pupil technique twice as effective. Lu Changsheng pondered. He had only previously cultivated the most basic spiritual eye technique. Later, Hong Lian provided a stack of cultivation technique inheritances, among which was a decent pupil skill. Considering his own comprehension abilities, it was too time-consuming, and since that pupil skill was more combat-oriented, he had not cultivated it. Now this origin spirit pupil skill came with the ability to pierce through illusions and discern origins, and required no time for contemplation, which he thought might be worth cultivating. By the time the pupil skill reached a small achievement, he could even venture out to search for spirit veins to upgrade Bihu Lake Mountain. After all, the current spirit veins of Bihu Lake Mountain were indeed insufficient. Whether it was for the foundation establishment of the children at home, the cultivation of heaven and earth spiritual plants, or his own core formation, higher-level spirit veins were necessary. 3 days later, Lu family mansion. Father, it's Rui's sister who has disappeared. I investigated and learned that Rui's sister's last known location was at Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing mine site. This mine is currently being exploited jointly by our family and the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. I questioned the Zhao family members, who confirmed Rui's sister did indeed visit the Wujing mine site a short time ago to inspect the ore stone extraction, but left afterward. I've searched through the Red Leaf Valley Market and Black Cloud Mountain Range using her identity token, but there has been no response from Rui's sister's identity token. Lu Yun reported respectfully to Lu Changsheng. Rui, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing Mine Site, White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, his face displaying a contemplative expression. It had been 6 days since the substitute talisman was used, and through the family records he could confirm his daughter was still alive. But no news for 6 days, no homecoming, and no response from the identity token suggested that his daughter's storage bag was likely stolen. Why would the storage bag be taken if she had used a substitute talisman to escape? That means it's highly likely that Rui was first robbed of her storage bag before escaping using the substitute talisman. A hint of coldness flickered in Lu Changsheng's eyes. Changsheng, this matter is probably related to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Li Feiyu, standing by his side, spoke up directly, his expression showing a hint of murderous intent. Although he had no proof, but given the current information, he instantly concluded that Lu Rui was harmed by someone familiar. Have the family members avoid going out, it'll bring Rui back. Lu Changsheng spoke calmly. His daughter's final destination was the Black Cloud Mountain Range, so he naturally suspected the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Despite not understanding why the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain would target Lu Rui, as long as he brought his daughter back, everything would become crystal clear. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 873. Holding White Tiger Mountain Accountable. Something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Father, do you know where Sister Rui is? Lu Yan asked, somewhat surprised. I have my ways. Lu Changsheng said softly, nodding his head. He then returned to Mount Sumaru Cave Heaven, into the talisman room, holding a talisman brush. He took out a third-rank talisman paper and began crafting a talisman. He possessed the 99 mystical talisman scripture, which encompassed a wide array of techniques. Among them was a talisman called Blood Tracking Talisman. The user could use their own blood to make the talisman direct them to the person connected by blood. 3 hours later, the talisman table surged with mana, erupting in a burst of blood-colored spiritual light. Then the light receded, leaving only a mysterious and complex rune flowing slowly. Phew! Finally, it's done. Lu Changsheng exhaled a long breath, picked up the talisman, and walked out of the talisman room. Lord Changsheng. Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge had also learned of Lu Rui's situation and came forward to express their concern. This was the first time Bihu Lake Mountain had encountered such an incident, and they had to attach great importance to it. This talisman is called Blood Tracking Talisman. It can find Rui's location by using our bloodline as a guide. Lu Changsheng showed a hint of a smile when he saw the two women. Then, walking out of Mount Sumaru Cave Heaven, in front of the two women, he smeared his own blood onto the talisman to activate it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. However, as soon as the talisman was activated, it started swirling around on its own. One moment it pointed towards Bihu Lake Mountain, the next towards Rui Prefecture. Lu Changsheng was somewhat speechless at the sight. He thought to himself, what kind of trash talisman is this to be ranked as third rank? It's not at all sensitive. Cough, cough. He coughed lightly to cover his embarrassment, then went to Bai Yun Peak to find Lu Rui's mother and smeared a drop of her blood on the talisman. Suddenly, the blood-tracking talisman was suffused with a faint spiritual light, indicating a direction. I can go by myself. Lu Changsheng told Lu Miaoge, Li Feiyu, and others. After that, he rode a purple flying shuttle, following the guidance of the blood-tracking talisman, left Bihu Lake Mountain to search for his daughter, Lu Rui. In a desolate wilderness. Huff, huff, huff. Lu Rui, seeing that the bear demon had not pursued her, immediately sat down to rest against a large tree, taking deep breaths to recover. These few days of wilderness survival had given her a profound understanding of the difficulties normal cultivators faced. Before this, she knew her brothers and sisters had better conditions than most loose cultivators. But she never imagined that without magic artifacts, elixir medicines, talismans, and spirit stones, surviving alone was so difficult. At first, when she encountered a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, she relied on her 6th-level energy refinement cultivation to kill it. But after killing it, she realized a problem. She now had no spirit stones or elixir medicines, and restoring spiritual power was very slow and troublesome. In the following times, she did her best to avoid confrontation, fearing that her spiritual power would be depleted and attract other demon beasts. For food and drink, she only dared to pick some wild fruits she recognized and quietly hunted a few wild animals to make do. The family token is gone too. I wonder if my family can find me? Lu Rui looked around at the lush foliage and towering ancient trees, her lips tightly pursed, feeling powerless. Through these days, she realized that she was still in the Black Cloud Mountain Range. Although Black Cloud Mountain Range was not particularly dangerous, her current condition made it very difficult to escape. Especially now that the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain was surely searching for her. If she had a storage bag with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, she could ride the Iron Feather Eagle back home or send a message and wait for rescue. After all, with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, not to mention a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, even if she encountered a late phase of first-order demon beast, she would have some confidence. But without magic artifacts, talismans, spirit stones, or elixir medicines, she was truly at a loss. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just then she heard the sound of the wind rustling through the grass from afar. So the novel, If Ire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Rui immediately tensed up, held her breath, and concealed her aura, staying still. In earlier years, she had learned wilderness survival knowledge at Qingzhou Mountain and Bihu Lake Mountain. But all that had been theory, and she had never truly experienced it. The night before last, she was nearly killed by a demon beast that had approached while she was resting. Thankfully, the auto-defense of her vestment robe narrowly saved her life, making her apprehensive and constantly vigilant. Phew! After a while, when Lu Rui saw no danger, she let out a sigh of relief and found a cave to rest in. Huff, huff, huff. Not long after, she suddenly heard noises outside, with the sound of eagle cries and birds chirping, so she quickly hid. Rui! Just then she heard a familiar voice calling. Daddy! Upon hearing this voice, Lu Rui felt as if she was dreaming, thinking she was hallucinating. These days, she had thought countless times about her father or someone from home coming to rescue her. But she knew, with her storage bag taken away and without the family identity token, her family had no means to find her. But the next moment, she saw a figure, tall and slim, dressed in a cyan magical robe, with handsome features and gentle eyes filled with concern, appear at the entrance of the cave. Rui! Lu Changsheng's eyes immediately revealed tenderness as he saw his daughter's condition. He knew that she must have suffered a great deal during these days. Daddy, woo. Lu Rui finally snapped out of her daze, knowing that her father had truly come for her. She rushed into Lu Changsheng's arms, hugging him tightly and crying in his embrace, her voice filled with grievance. All the fear and suffering of these days burst forth at that moment. She was not one to be timid or helpless. Otherwise, she wouldn't have volunteered to manage affairs outside, handling the family's business cooperation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 874. Confronting White Tiger Mountain, the Suspicious Spirit Stone Mine. But for so many years, she had never been subjected to such humiliation, nor experienced such frightening and precarious a life. Don't cry, it's all right, Daddy's here. Lu Changsheng saw his daughter's tear-stained face and felt a pang of heartache, voicing comfort. He had always been soft-hearted, unable to bear seeing women in tears, especially when it was his own daughter. Although he hadn't paid much attention to his daughter, Lu Rui, in recent years, he had been very affectionate towards her in her early years. After all, she was the third child of his to possess a spiritual root, following Lu Xinji and Lu Chuanjin. After a moment, Lu Rui finally dried her tears and, with reddened eyes, said apologetically, Daddy, I'm useless, I've made you worry. It's okay, as long as you are unharmed. Lu Changsheng gently wiped the tears from his daughter's eyes and asked gently, Rui, what happened? His voice was calm and gentle, but a wave of anger was rising in his heart. For so many years, it was the first time he saw one of his children being bullied to such an extent. If it weren't for the substitute talisman he had given her, and the blood-tracking talisman, she would have already lost her life. It was White Tiger Mountain. Lu Rui spoke with a choked and aggrieved voice, recounting the incident. She had previously noticed during the audit of the Wu Jing mine site that there were more miners than before, but the output had not increased. Furthermore, 2 direct lineage descendants of the Zhao family had been consistently courting her, prompting her to be more cautious. Then, using a stealth talisman, she sneaked into the mine to investigate. The result was that she alerted the Zhao family's descendants, who had already set up a formation that trapped her. At that time, I forgot about the life-saving talisman you gave me, and then, Lu Rui said in a quiet voice, her head bowed. She knew that if she hadn't acted so impulsively, and had either reported the matter to the family or activated the substitute talisman immediately, she could have escaped safely. It's fine, let Daddy handle this matter. Lu Changxing hugged his daughter and comforted her softly, without blaming her. After all, it was impossible for all his children to be exceptionally talented. Besides, the children at home still lacked the tempering needed in crises and their responses to them. But through his daughter's words, he understood why the Zhao family had moved against her. Xianxia the novel, at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Wealth seduces the heart. Even a small spirit vein of a spirit stone mine could produce tens of thousands of spirit stones. For a foundation establishment family like the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, tens of thousands of spirit stones wasn't a small sum. Enough to drive them to take risks. If it hadn't been for the substitute talisman given to his children, which allowed him to find his daughter, he could only have suspected White Tiger Mountain at most. Following the practices of Qingzhou Mountain in the past, in such a situation, if there was only suspicion without evidence, he would probably only be able to keep it in his heart and at most demand some compensation. My Blue Lake Mountain Lu family is different from other families. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, murmuring to himself. He lowered his head to look at his daughter and said softly, "Come on, let's go home first." Then, holding his daughter's hand, mana surged around him, forming a protective shield as he mounted the purple cloud shuttle and shot into the sky, turning into a streak of light that disappeared into the horizon. If a regular foundation establishment cultivator were to carry an energy-refining cultivator such a distance, the mana consumption would be significant. But with the profound origin bead, his mana was comparable to a false core, and he no longer had to consider such issues. A day later, Lu Changsheng brought his daughter back to Blue Lake Mountain. Father, Sister Rui, husband Rui. Lu Yun, Lu Miaoyan, and others were surprised to see Lu Changsheng return with Lu Rui so soon. Changsheng, what happened? Li Feiyu, upon hearing of Lu Changsheng's return, came to inquire. White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Lu Changsheng said calmly. Indeed. Li Feiyu snorted coldly. Changsheng, since that's the case, let's go directly to the Wujing mine site to confirm the situation, and then we'll head to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain to demand an explanation. His breakthrough in foundation establishment, even though he had given Lu Changsheng 10,000 spirit stones, still left him feeling indebted and wanting to help out Lu Changsheng. Lu Rui by his side was somewhat astonished. She did not recognize this somewhat familiar middle-aged man, who appeared so domineering. Before her father even spoke, the man was ready to go to White Tiger Mountain Zhao family for accountability. Thinking of her father's and Auntie Maiage's track record, she felt very assured. After all, the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain only had one foundation-building great cultivator, although there were rumors of a second-rank White Tiger demon. But no matter what, they were no match for her family. All right, let's do that. Lu Changsheng nodded. Seeing that Lu Rui did not recognize Li Feiyu, he smiled and introduced, He, Rui, don't you recognize him? This is your Uncle Li, he even held you when you were little. Uncle Li. Lu Rui remembered him, a little surprised, and quickly performed the formalities, surveying this Uncle Li. Little Rui is all grown up now. Li Feiyu laughed heartily. Yuner, go call all the Lu family disciples above the 5th layer of energy refining. Lu Changsheng said after a moment's thought. His family just happened to lack a spirit land, spirit vein. Since the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain insisted on clashing, he naturally would not be polite. And the children at home also lacked experience. They had not seen big events, so this trip could be an opportunity for them to witness and learn. Yes, father. Lu Yun responded immediately upon hearing this. Oh, and you can bring Jiuyo along. Lu Changsheng added. After he finished, he asked Li Feiyu to wait for a bit, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and called for Lu Miaoge. Lord, I have recovered, and Miaoge can oversee the home just as well. Ling Zixiao, discerning Lu Changsheng's intentions, said so. As an array master, she was more suited to attack family spirit lands. Otherwise, it would not be easy for Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge alone to breach the mountain protection array of White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 875. Accusing White Tiger Mountain, something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. _ in Chihi, Feiyu will go there too, and Jiuyo, that should be enough. Lu Changxing held Ling Zixio's palm and spoke gently. Zixiao, you just gave birth not long ago. Take good care of yourself at home. My lord, I remember that the Zhao family from White Tiger Mountain and the Mo family from Ironwood Mountain and the Ning family from Shi Mountain are on good terms. If my lord plans to take over White Tiger Mountain, try not to make it too ugly with these two families. Ling Zixiao didn't insist, holding her son Lu Lingxiao. She nodded and spoke softly. She knew the current situation at Bai Lake Mountain. Including her, Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, Bai Ling, as well as the Mount Sumeru Tree King, Luminous Treasure Tree, and Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, they actually already reached the limit. It was really necessary for the family to establish a branch. But with the current situation of the Lu family, once a branch was established, it would be difficult to look after it properly, and it was essential to maintain good relations with the surrounding area. Zixiao, don't worry, I understand this, Lu Changxing said with a light chuckle. However, the main problem lies with the Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. This Jinlong Ridge is adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. The family has a false core patriarch in residence, and it is currently in a period of ascension. They definitely do not want to see our family settling in White Tiger Mountain, so my lord must be very careful. Ling Zixiao gently poked her son's cheek and continued speaking. Although she didn't pay much attention to the internal affairs of the family, she was very familiar with the surrounding situation in the Qingyun region. Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. Lu Changxing frowned slightly. He naturally knew of this family. Currently, in the Qingyun region, the largest family belonged to the beast-taming Su family. Apart from the beast-taming Su family, there were 7 false core families. Sir the Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, one of the original 7 false core families, the Xiaohou family from Blackwater Pool, was obliterated and struck off by Qingyun sect for colluding with the demon path, leaving only 6 false core families. Jinlong Ridge was one of them. He had actually forgotten about this Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. Being neighbors with them could indeed be troublesome. Although he was not afraid of the Jin family, even confident that he could crush the opposing family's patriarch. But after all, he had a family to care for with hundreds of vulnerable members. Unless absolutely necessary, he was unwilling to display excessively remarkable abilities in public. This could easily make him the target of high-rank cultivators' attention. All right, I'll be careful about Jinlong Ridge. Lu Changxing nodded and said, since that's the case, Sister Miaoge, let's go. Zixiao, it's a hard task to look after the home. After speaking, he saw Bai Ling next to him, holding his daughter, with her big watery eyes looking at him. He immediately rubbed her head and said, oh, and little Linger, it's hard on you to take care of the home too. If Sister Ling can't handle it, the home will rely on you. Lu Changxing spoke in a warm voice. Although Bai Ling had broken through to Foundation establishment, he never really treated her as a Foundation establishment great cultivator, but rather as a half-daughter. Bai Ling immediately nodded vigorously in response. In her arms, Lu Lingyi also stretched out 2 chubby and tender little hands, babbling. Then, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge arrived at the Lu family mansion, taking Li Feiyu and 19 middle-stage Qi refinement children, piloting the spirit boat toward the Black Cloud Mountain range. This number of people perfectly fit on 2 spirit boats. Having experienced the spiritual vessels of Qingyun sect and Jinyang sect, Lu Changxing couldn't help but fantasize at this moment about when his own family would own a large spiritual vessel. Not to mention the familial wars, arriving in a spiritual vessel simply screams oppression. I wonder if the system could draw a large spiritual vessel. Lu Changxing thought to himself. This kind of spiritual vessel was a strategic-level resource, not only expensive but normally impossible to buy without any purchasing channels. At this moment, several dozen miles away from Bai Lake Mountain, 2 disguised cultivators from the Zhao family saw 2 spirit boats sweeping across the sky at high speed, and their expressions suddenly shocked. They couldn't make out the situation on the spirit boats, but they could see a rough estimate. Judging by the personnel on top and the direction toward Black Cloud Mountain range, it was very likely that they were people from Bai Lake Mountain. they immediately transmitted messages to notify their family. A day later, the two spirit boats stopped outside the Wujing mine site in the Black Cloud Mountain Range. Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and Li Feiyu, at this moment, all realized something was off. Because at this moment, they smelled a thick scent of blood. What's going on? Lu Changxing stepped off the spirit boat, came to the mining site, and immediately noticed corpses everywhere, the ground awash with blood, forming pools of it. These people must not have been dead long. It seems the Zhao family was aware of our arrival and killed all the miners here in advance. Li Feiyu looked at the bodies with a frigid expression on his face. During their conversation, the two entered the mine to check out the situation. Inside, they occasionally came across yet more corpses. The entire mine had originally had hundreds of miners. But now, all were slaughtered, not a single survivor. The Zhao family is really decisive. In this case, not only were they aware of our arrival, but they must have also sought outside help. Otherwise, this massacre would have been pointless. Li Feiyu looked at the situation before him and said coldly, "While the cultivation world officially values reputation and semblance, in reality, it's strength that does the talking. White Tiger Mountain has only one foundation establishment ancestor. Offending by Lake Mountain is akin to seeking death. This act was intended to seize moral high ground. Only with such a guise would others be willing to offer help. Could it be the Jin family from Jinlong Ridge?" Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows as he spoke. Although By Lake Mountain was nominally governed by only 3 foundation establishment cultivators, its reputation far exceeded its power, and no ordinary foundation establishment family would be willing to offend it for the sake of White Tiger Mountain. Very likely. Li Feiyu furrowed his brows. If this matter involved a false core family, it would be troublesome. After all, a false core immortal was indeed an immortal, incomparable to mere foundation establishment cultivators. Is this the Spirit Stone Mine? At this moment, Lu Changxing walked to the end of the mine tunnel. He could see the Spirit Stone Mine gleaming before him, already excavated. He looked at the Spirit Stone Mine before him, his brow slightly furrowed, sensing that something was off. As a second-tier top-level dragon seeker, although he had not yet trained in Origin Spirit Divine Perception or Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, his dragon seeker's intuition and knowledge told him something was off about this Spirit Stone Mine. How could such a small-scale Spirit Stone Mine have developed deep within this mine? Origin Spirit Pupillary Art. Lu Changxing immediately used his Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, emitting 2 purple rays from his eyes and inspecting the Spirit Stone Mine. What's up with Changxing? Li Feiyu looked at Lu Changxing as he employed the pupillary art, staring at the Spirit Stone Mine, slightly stunned. There's something off about this Spirit Stone Mine. Lu Changxing's face showed a moment of deep thought. His Origin Spirit Pupillary Art was still not well developed, and even when using the technique, its power was limited, only allowing him to detect a very pure and rich concentration of spiritual energy. Right, how could I forget this? Lu Changxing slapped his spiritual pet bag, and immediately a large golden mouse appeared. It was the very second-ranking treasure-seeking mouse he had acquired from a robber cultivator when he and Ling Zixiao left Jiuxiao Immortal City. This treasure-seeking mouse was not much use to him, so it had been kept unsupervised in his spiritual pet bag. A treasure-seeking mouse? Li Feiyu saw the golden mouse, instantly surprised. In Qingluan Immortal City, such treasure-seeking mice were highly sought after. Many loose cultivators wanted one. After all, whether for exploring cave mansion relics or anything else, having such a treasure-seeking mouse made the task much more efficient. Is there any treasure inside? Lu Changxing, holding a beast control token, spoke to the mouse. Since following Lu Changxing, the mouse had been fed sporadically, looking somewhat listless. Now hearing Lu Changxing's words, it immediately started to make an effort, pointing at the area in front of the Spirit Stone Mine, then starting to dig. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 876, Core Formation Relic, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Crack, crack. Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu watched as the seeking spirit mouse in front of them dug into the spirit stone mine. Although the seeking spirit mouse was only the size of a baby, with low combat power, its innate bloodline talent made it very efficient at mining stone veins. However, Lu Changxing was currently busy with other matters and naturally would not wait for it to dig slowly. Clang! With a slap on his storage bag, the true Yang 5-element sword immediately appeared as he performed a gesture incantation with both hands. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Instantly, the sword light flickered, bursting forth with fierce sword chi, cutting through the vein of spirit stones like tofu and causing the dense and pure spiritual energy to spill out. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Watching the fierce sword chi, the seeking spirit mouse was immediately terrified and looked at Lu Changxing with a shivering face, thinking it had done something wrong. Hiss, Changxing must have broken through to the Foundation establishment mid-stage, right? Seeing this, Li Feiyu's face also showed surprise and disbelief. Not only was he astonished by Lu Changxing's cultivation strength, but he was also amazed at how fierce Lu Changxing's sword chi was, resembling the legendary sword cultivators. After all, in his view, his good brother had nothing to do with the legendary sword cultivators and was more suitable for the path of yin and yang dual cultivation. Changxing, what happened? Just then, Lu Miaoge heard the noise inside and hurried over to check. Nothing, this spirit stone mine is a bit strange. There must be some treasure in the depths. I plan to take a look. Lu Changxing explained, Sister Miaoge, just keep watch outside. Essia the novel of Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Okay, be careful. Lu Miaoge nodded in response. Seeing so many corpses in the minefield, she felt a bit of sympathy and summoned her life-bound spiritual artifact, Tai Chi Talisman, to create several large pits outside the minefield. Then she let Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjun, Lu Xinji, and others carry these corpses into the pits for burial. Aside from Lu Chuanjun and a few other Lu family disciples, most found it quite unsettling facing so many ferocious and tragic corpses at once. But they all knew that they had to adapt since this was an inevitable path they must traverse upon the start of their cultivation journey. Which direction? Lu Changxing asked the seeking spirit mouse, continuing his inquiry. He could sense something was odd about this spirit stone mine, with possibly some spirit vein treasure hidden in the depths. But he could not fully perceive the origin source or lock onto the specific location. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The seeking spirit mouse quickly pointed in a direction. This way, the two men and one mouse began to work. After several hours, the seeking spirit mouse hesitated for a long while in front of a few crevices before diving into one. Seeing this, Lu Changxing and Li Feiyu wielded magical swords and long knives to chisel a path. This process was very draining on mana. If not for Lu Changxing's robust and unending mana, or if Li Feiyu had been doing it alone, it would have been tough to continue. Thus, after a long time, they arrived in front of a stone wall. It's inside here. At that moment, Lu Changxing realized that the source was within this stone wall. He slashed fiercely with the true Yang 5-element sword in his hand. Boom, boom, boom. The spirit vein shook, and countless rocks and dust splattered, striking the mana shields protecting him and Li Feiyu. Suddenly, a natural rock cave over 10 zhang in size appeared in front of them. Though the cave seemed naturally formed, it was apparent that it had been artificially excavated. Luminous pearls that had lost their luster were placed in each corner, and there was a stone table and chairs covered in moss. It looked like a cultivator's cave mansion. At that instant, a rich wave of spiritual energy struck them from within the cave. This spiritual energy, could it be? Lu Changxing gazed at the cave mansion before him, pausing for a moment as he vaguely guessed. Be careful, Changxing. Li Feiyu, realizing that this was a predecessor's cave mansion, immediately warned. He had explored many ancient remains and cave mansions and was well aware that such places didn't always signify good fortune. Many cultivators with corrupt hearts, on the brink of passing away, or those who lost control in their cultivation and fell into demonic ways, would set traps and killing formations in their cave mansions out of a malicious wish that since they could not achieve the great Tao, neither should others who come after. There were even cultivators who purposefully created treasure maps to bait others with the promise of their cave mansion's treasures. Thus, many who explored these relics full of joy ended up meeting tragic fates. Okay. Lu Changxing nodded and said to the seeking spirit mouse, "Hurry up." He then slapped his storage bag, summoning a puppet, and followed the seeking spirit mouse into the cave. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The seeking spirit mouse was naturally very alert to danger, and after looking around, it entered a stone chamber inside the cave. Lu Changxing immediately controlled the puppet to push open the stone door, and a mist-like spiritual energy raged out. The seeking spirit mouse immediately rushed in, followed by sounds of water and its joyful and contented chirping. Is this spiritual energy turned to mist? Li Feiyu had already noticed the excessively rich spiritual energy in the cave. And now inside the stone chamber, the spiritual energy was so dense that it had misted, which was astonishing. It seems there is a spiritual eye spring inside. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, knowing his guess was correct. Although there was no spirit vein here, there had to be a treasure of the spiritual spring. Only then could the spiritual energy become so dense over the years that it overflowed and formed a miniature spirit stone mine. What? A spiritual eye spring? Changxing, are you saying there's a spiritual eye spring inside? Li Feiyu exclaimed, his face turning white with shock. Though he had never seen a spiritual eye spring, he had heard of its existence. He knew that such treasures were incredibly rare and immeasurable in value. To think that Lu Changxing had found a spiritual eye spring on this venture. Changxing, you really have great fortune to encounter such an opportunity just by stepping out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 877. Core Formation Relics, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Li Feiyu quickly calmed himself down, his voice tinged with envy as he spoke. His words, indicating not only his own envy but also suggesting the ownership of this spiritual eye spring. After all, it was not uncommon in the cultivation world for brothers to turn against each other and friends to become enemies. 99% of these conflicts were over interests. Having such a rare treasure appear before them now, it would certainly be false to claim he wasn't tempted. However, the relationship between the two men, as well as the current situation, compelled him to make an immediate choice. He indeed lucky. Lu Changsheng's face broke into a smile. He hadn't expected that, having just acquired the dragon-seeking technique, he would find such an item using this very skill. The two of them cautiously entered the cave mansion and made their way to a stone chamber. They immediately saw, in the center of the cramped chamber, a mini spring bubbling with water. Right there, the seeking spirit mouse was lying comfortably in the basin-sized spring. Beside the spring, however, half lay a corpse. The corpse was covered with a spiritual light-faded, slightly tattered magical robe. Its chest bones were broken, showing slight discoloration, suggesting it had suffered severe injuries before passing away here. It looks like it's been hundreds of years since the passing. Li Feiyu spoke up. And looking at it, he seems to have been a nascent soul immortal in life. Lu Changxing noticed a dim gray pill at the location of the corpse's dantian. This indicated the individual had been a nascent soul immortal. He didn't approach, but with a sweep of his hand, a gust of wind howled through the chamber, lifting the magical robe of the corpse. He then controlled a puppet to inspect the chamber, making sure there were no traps. Whoosh! A ring, a storage bag, and a gray pill flew into Lu Changsheng's hands. This immortal must have been severely injured before death, even the true elixir is fractured. Lu Changsheng saw that the gray pill was full of cracks, seemingly ready to break at the slightest force. If the true elixir had been intact, it would be priceless to a foundation establishment cultivator. Judging from the situation in Jiang country's cultivation realm, achieving core formation was incredibly difficult. 90% of foundation establishment cultivators never achieve core formation in their lifetime. But if one was lucky, having a third-order demon pill or a nascent soul cultivator's true elixir at the late stage of foundation establishment, or some external treasure, it could be used to condense a false core. Although a false core is incomparable to a true nascent soul cultivator. It grants a lifespan of 300 years and a combat power, status, and position far exceeding that of Foundation establishment cultivators, enough to be called an immortal. Truly a pity. Li Feiyu took the gray pill from Lu Changsheng's hand and examined it, his expression one of regret. Having such an external pill is akin to gaining an opportunity for a false core. A bit poor, huh? Lu Changsheng briefly inspected the storage ring and storage bag. Sir, the Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The storage ring contained no spirit stones, just some random materials and miscellaneous items. But from Lu Changsheng's perspective, even the items of value didn't exceed a few 10,000 spirit stones. The storage bag was very simple. Inside were 3 jade slips and a dark black, somewhat damaged halberd. He briefly looked at them. The first 2 jade slips were cultivation techniques, named Blood Shura technique and Earth Fiend Holding Heaven skill. The third jade slip was the last words of the corpse's owner. It stated his name was Jing Jueming, born in the Shura sect of Liang country, and came to the Jiang country cultivation realm due to a sect mission. The details of the mission were not mentioned, just that he had encountered a siege by Qingyun sect, barely escaping after using all his strength. However, due to severe injuries and the shattering of his true elixir, unable to escape from Qingyun sect's territory, he hid here, opened this cave mansion, hoping to use his sect's secret technique, the Shadow Crimson technique, to heal by transforming his true elixir's origin source, then condensing the demon pill to bring life from near death. If he failed and died, any person with fate coming after could inherit his mantle, to be his successor. If they later broke through to core formation, they should slay a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect to commemorate his spirit in heaven. TSK, this demonic path cultivator was quite a decent person, just a bit fanciful. Lu Changsheng looked at the information inside the jade slip and shook his head. He handed the items from the storage bag to Li Feiyu to examine, then turned his gaze back to the spiritual ice spring in front of him. This spiritual ice spring, while nowhere near the one he obtained from the system's lucky draw in terms of size and spiritual energy density, regardless, it was still a spiritual ice spring, far superior to a spiritual origin pearl. If this spiritual ice spring was used to upgrade the Biyun Peak, the spiritual vein of Biyun Peak would likely advance from high-quality second rank to top-grade second rank. Feiyu, sharing seas, I do need this spiritual ice spring. Lu Changsheng spoke to Li Feiyu. This magical treasure, although somewhat damaged, might still be worth a decent amount of money. You can handle it in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. That halberd was only useful to him for practicing the 100 refinements treasure body art. But since he was taking the spiritual ice spring, it wouldn't be fair not to give him anything, hence he gave the magical treasure to the other. Considering Li Feiyu's status in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he should be able to handle it. Changsheng, how can this be? This is your fortune and opportunity. I've done nothing. You'll just copy this Earth Fiend Holding Heaven skill. That will suffice. Li Feiyu hurriedly asserted. He had selected a main cultivation technique in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. But the body refining technique he used was still the old, profound body refinement technique. He knew after a brief look that his profound body refinement technique was far inferior to this Earth Fiend Holding Heaven skill. No problem, take it, I feel embarrassed taking everything. Lu Changsheng spoke. Yet Li Feiyu simply couldn't bring himself to accept the magical treasure. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 878, Core Formation Relics, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Thinking that he hadn't done much and that owning this cultivation technique was enough, he could at most pick a few spiritual materials from the storage ring. Having just returned to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he could ask someone to craft a couple of suitable magic artifacts for him. Sure. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng didn't insist and passed the storage ring to Li Feiyu, keeping the black halberd for himself. Although this was a low-grade magical treasure, due to severe wear and hundreds of years of neglect without an owner's mana nourishing it, its spiritual light was dull and difficult to activate. It could be said that this no longer counted as a treasure, but merely as a rare material to be recast by someone. Changxing, how do you plan to take away the spiritual eye spring? Li Feiyu looked at Lu Changxing and said, although the spiritual eye spring could be carried with oneself, saw the novel, The Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. To his knowledge, it required the great magical power of a nascent soul immortal to be relocated. Ordinary foundation establishment cultivators simply couldn't take such a spring with them. Now I manage a family, so I have studied the skills and legacy of dragon seekers, and just so happen to understand some of this technique, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. Had it been before, it indeed would have been difficult for him to take away the spiritual eye spring. But for a second-order dragon seeker, it was effortless. Scram! Lu Changxing disdainfully said to the golden mouse in the center of the spiritual spring. Such a clear and clean spring, and you, a mouse, soaking in it, what are you thinking? Hearing this, the seeking spirit mouse reluctantly walked out of the spiritual spring and sat down on the side, looking somewhat aggrieved. Feiyu, back off a bit. Lu Changxing said to Li Feiyu. Okay. Li Feiyu quickly nodded and stepped back. But as he saw the corpse next to the spiritual spring, he immediately moved it aside. Then Lu Changxing's hands formed a gesture incantation, and his palms emanated dazzling yellow light, pressing onto the ground. Boom! Spiritual light surged, and the ground around the spring violently shook and cracked. Rise! Lu Changxing uttered softly, and the basin-sized spring suddenly broke through the earth and began to ascend. Once the spiritual eye spring was completely hovering in the air, Lu Changxing cast successive spells, causing the yellow light to envelop and seal the spring. Phew! Lu Changxing stored the spiritual eye spring in his storage ring, his eyes revealing a hint of joy. With this spring, the state of his own spiritual vein, or even Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, could be improved once again. If luck is on my side, finding a few more spiritual eye springs, or even top-grade ones, upgrading to a third-order spirit vein will be a breeze, Lu Changxing couldn't help fantasizing. Tsk, Changxing, you really are skillful, Li Feiyu said, watching the scene before him in admiration. He had learned some details about Lu Changxing during this time. He knew that his friend was a second-tier top-level talisman master and a second-order inferior alchemist. Now seeing him also skilled in dragon-seeking techniques, he didn't even know what to say. He thought to himself that his good brother, despite a subpar spiritual root, had deep fortune and incredible comprehension. Even if he were to become a loose cultivator, he would fare exceedingly well. Afterward, he placed the corpse back into the deep pit of the spiritual spring. Predecessor, we won't inherit your legacy. These treasures, not brought in life, not taken in death, it's truly a pity to bury them with you. Today, as we lay you to rest, let these treasures serve as our compensation for burying your bones and erecting this monument. Li Feiyu said solemnly. He then buried the corpse and used his long sword to split a stone into a steel, carving the words Tomb of Jing Jueming onto it. Lu Changxing, seeing this, also stepped forward to bow his respects. After all, since he had benefited, it was only appropriate to give thanks. Everyone says how wonderful cultivation is, but who has seen corpses buried in the wilderness? A nascent soul immortal ending up in such a state, Li Feiyu said, filled with emotion. He had seen very few core formation individuals up to this point in his cultivation journey. This was the first time he had seen the remains of a nascent soul immortal, stirring deep emotions in his heart. That's why we should cherish the present, Lu Changxing said with a smile. I just can't stay idle, Li Feiyu replied with a wry smile, shaking his head. Besides, it's hard to give up when you're not content. This place still needs to be dealt with. Lu Changxing looked at the situation before him and furrowed his brow. Having made a path here, others could follow it if they came. After thinking for a moment, he put the seeking spirit mouse into his spiritual pet bag, cast an iron wall talisman to solidify the room into an iron barrier. Then he and Li Feiyu left the cavern and attacked the cave with the giant sword technique. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the cave collapsed and was concealed, with both men transforming into escape light and swiftly leaving. Changxing, father, Uncle Li. As the two men left the mine, Lu Miaoge and Lu Chuanzhen, among others, were still waiting outside. We inspected the situation inside, which caused some delay, but now we will head straight to White Tiger Mountain, Lu Changxing told his wife and children. Naturally, the children and others had no objections to this. Immediately, everyone boarded the spirit boat and set off directly for White Tiger Mountain. Sister Miaoge, we really had great luck this time. I found a spiritual spring inside. Lu Changxing shared his joy with Lu Miaoge through a secret message on the spirit boat. What? A spiritual spring? Lu Miaoge was even more surprised and delighted than Lu Changxing upon hearing this. That's right, although this spring is not as good as the one we obtained at home, it's still quite remarkable. And inside there was also the corpse of a nascent soul immortal, but this immortal was a demonic path cultivator who has been dead for several hundred to 1,000 years, and since he died after suffering serious injuries, he didn't have any precious treasures with him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 879. Core Formation Relics, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. _4 Lu Changxing continued. This is already quite good. Not only is there a spirit stone mine, but also such a harvest. Changxing, your fortune can be said to be incredibly profound. Lu Miaoge said softly. Her heart couldn't help but feel astonished and surprised. Her own husband truly was a favored person of the heavens. No wonder he possessed so many heavenly and earthly treasures, rare cultivation techniques, and spiritual pets. Such luck? It's like just stepping outside could lead to opportunities. Probably starting from the early years when he found the 9 Netherhound, every time he went out there were chances for remarkable encounters. White Tiger Mountain, Zhao family. At this moment, the Zhao family's great formation was fully activated, slowly revolving. All the family disciples were on high alert, with the posture of facing a formidable enemy. Although the Zhao family ancestor had invited someone from the Jinlong Ridge Jin family to act as a mediator and judge, such matters, in any case, could enhance the cohesion of the family through this method. Why hasn't Lu Changxing arrived yet? Wasn't the message sent that Lu Changxing was heading towards our White Tiger Mountain? The Zhao family patriarch looked at the external situation, his eyebrows deeply furrowed, pacing back and forth with an anxious expression. He was not actually looking forward to Lu Changxing's quick arrival. Instead, having received the message that the opponent was coming to attack his family, and yet not arriving for a long time, his heart kept hanging up and down. The Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, with the reputation of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family known far and wide, even though the ancestor had requested the Jinlong Ridge's intervention, he was still worried. They've come. Just then, the Zhao family patriarch saw 2 small spirit boats in the distance flying towards them, growing larger and larger as they approached. He immediately said to the Zhao family disciples who were on full alert, "Everyone, get ready." He then signaled to his own ancestor to indicate that Lu Changxing had come. Is this White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changxing, aboard the spirit boat, looked at White Tiger Mountain. The entire valley was enshrouded in a pale golden formation, making it impossible to see inside. But from a bird's eye view, it somewhat resembled a crouching fierce tiger. As far as Lu Changxing knew, White Tiger Mountain had abundant mine resources. In the early years, the Zhao family relied on the mineral resources of White Tiger Mountain and their artifact refining skills, reaching their peak period with as many as 5 foundation establishment cultivators and once controlling 2 marketplaces. But due to various reasons, they did not progress further and began to decline. And because the mineral resources were non-renewable, over-extraction led to a decline in family profits, and the family's situation grew worse and worse. In recent decades, they still possess 2 foundation-building great cultivators. But after the battle at Blackwater Pool, the Zhao family lost a foundation establishment ancestor, leaving only 1 foundation establishment cultivator, which could be said to be in the worst situation. But the spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain's Zhao family will definitely not be bad. Even if it's not second-order superior, it still belongs to the second-grade medium-quality top tier, and won't be worse than the initial Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Changsheng thought inwardly. Right now, he did not have any plans to establish a branch family on White Tiger Mountain. He planned to wait until his children made a breakthrough in foundation establishment before considering arrangements for White Tiger Mountain. But having acquired the dragon-seeking skill, he indeed wanted to try and intercept a spiritual vein origin from White Tiger Mountain. It wasn't long. The two spirit boats stopped at the mountain gate of White Tiger Mountain, suspended in the air. Lu Changxing, in a green long robe, stepped off the spirit boat, stood on thin air, and a white magical sword appeared in his hand, striking at the pale golden great formation above White Tiger Mountain. Boom! The formation on White Tiger Mountain immediately surged with flashing spiritual light, with streaks of golden radiance flowing within, where faintly, a fierce tiger could be seen ferociously roaring. Second-order superior, fierce tiger encircling mountain great formation. Lu Mountain Lord, for you to transgress upon our Zhao family like this is simply too outrageous. Do you really think our White Tiger Mountain is weak and can be bullied? The Zhao family patriarch, in a purple brocade robe, rose up within the great formation, his arm sleeves tightly clenched, his expression both shocked and angry, and he shouted loudly. He did not expect Lu Changsheng to be so arrogant. To actually take action against their family great formation without a word. Simply not placing them, White Tiger Mountain, in his eyes. Too outrageous? Your White Tiger Mountain covets my Lu family mine veins and even conspired against Lu someone's daughter in secret, and you still have the face to speak of being too outrageous? If you're sensible, open the formation yourself, apologize and make amends. Lu someone might still spare your Zhao family once, otherwise, today will be the day your White Tiger Mountain falls. Lu Changxing sneered coldly, said with an indifferent expression, and his hands did not stop moving, bombarding the White Tiger Mountain formation. Li Feiyu and the Lu family disciples, seeing this, also one after another brought out their magic artifacts to bombard White Tiger Mountain. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the White Tiger Mountain Great Formation's spiritual light surged, flickering on and off. Lu Changxing, don't fabricate lies to use as an excuse to forcibly take over my White Tiger Mountain. Just at this moment, a voice full of stamina and slightly aged rang out. A streak of escape light flew in from the depths. His hair grayed, his figure tall, in a purple magical robe emanating an imposing aura. It was the Zhao family ancestor. However, seeing Lu Miaoge there as well, his pupils couldn't help but contract. Although many of them believed that the battle at Red Leaf Valley had been greatly exaggerated, but through some exposed memory stones, the records of the night's events, both of them indeed had the astonishing achievement of slaying several foundation-building great cultivators. Fabricate lies? Upon seeing the scene at the mine, Lu Changxing guessed that the other party would not admit it. He sneered and said, "As to how things really are, your Zhao family knows very well. Actions speak louder than words. Lu someone is too lazy to argue with you about it. Even if the Supreme Sect inquires, Lu someone will be justified and without a guilty conscience. If you now open your formation and offer White Tiger Mountain an apology, Lu someone might still spare you. If you stubbornly resist and insist on being an enemy of my Blue Lake Mountain, then Lu someone won't be polite." Lu Changsheng spoke, and with a pat of his storage bag, a fist-sized black bead appeared. This bead, known as the Forbidden Breaking Bead, was obtained by Ling Zixiao from Xiaohou Money, with the effect of breaking formations and prohibitions. Then, from his sleeve, string after string of talismans flowed out, suspending around him. Lu Changsheng, how arrogant you are! Seeing these talismans, the Zhao family ancestor's face showed both fear and anger, wishing he could immediately activate the formation and engage with Lu Changxing. "Heh, Lu Mountain Lord, quite a temper you have, quite domineering indeed." Just then, another unhurried voice sounded. A middle-aged man around 40, with a square face, thick dark hair and beard, stern in appearance, dressed in a gold dragon-patterned magical robe, walked out with his hands behind his back, looking at Lu Changxing and spoke indifferently. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 880. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K big chapter, Upon seeing the golden-robed man, Li Feiyu, Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjin, and others all showed solemn expressions on their faces. At the Wu Jing mine site, upon encountering countless corpses, they had guessed that the Zhao family would seek outside intervention. And that power was likely to be Golden Dragon Ridge, adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. Although they did not recognize the golden-robed man, S.E.A. the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Through the current situation and his attire, they faintly guessed his identity. Who might you be? Lu Changxing looked at the golden-robed man who had appeared, his expression calm and indifferent. Having guessed that Golden Dragon Ridge might intervene, he had dared to come here. Naturally, he had strategies to cope. Otherwise, upon hearing a mere name, would he have to take his wife, friends, and children and slink away, abandoning his dignity as Lu ancestor? Golden Dragon Ridge Great Elder, Jin Zan. The golden-robed man looked at Lu Changxing, his expression haughty as he declared his identity. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron 0. As expected, Li Feiyu and the Lu family disciples all felt a sinking feeling in their hearts upon hearing this. Do you of the Jin family truly intend to meddle in the matters between Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changsheng's expression remained unchanged, his voice indifferent. This elder has heard that near your Bai Lake Mountain's mine, within the Black Cloud Mountain range, a spirit stone mine was discovered. We originally wished to cooperate with Bai Lake Mountain in mining. But your Lu family, in order to monopolize this mine, has committed murder. Now, you even use this as an excuse to attack White Tiger Mountain. Our Jin family has been on good terms with White Tiger Mountain for generations, and this elder cannot idly watch such matters unfold. Jin Zan, clad in a golden robe, stood with his hands behind his back, his voice steady yet condescending, coming from a family with a legacy nearly 1,000 years old and a false core immortal patriarch. He naturally looked down on upstart families like Lu Changsheng's, which had been established for just over a decade without any profound heritage. Even though Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge were well known, he still viewed them with some disdain. As these words were spoken, whether Zhao family disciples or Lu family disciples, all showed angry expressions and glared at each other. Clearly, both sides believed the other had committed unforgivable and utterly despicable acts. Whether this matter is right or wrong will be judged by the Supreme Sect. Have you at Golden Dragon Ridge really decided to interfere in the feud between Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changsheng's tone was calm, scoffing as he spoke. If that is the case, then let Lu someone experience your extraordinary skills. His scoff was filled with indescribable contempt. He has always disliked wasting words with others. The attitudes of the Zhao and Jin families left no room for discussion, a complete waste of time. In that case, it was better to meet action with action. Li Feiyu appeared shocked. He hadn't expected Lu Changxing to confront Golden Dragon Ridge head-on. Changxing always acts with caution and never does anything uncertain. He must have foreseen Golden Dragon Ridge's possible intervention and is confident in his actions. Li Feiyu thought to himself, choosing to trust his close friend. Holding the black gold long blade, mana surged within his body. With a step forward, his black brocade robe fluttered soundlessly, exuding an aura of solemn killing intent. Lu Miaoge, looking as pure as snow, stood quietly beside Lu Changxing, her expression as calm as still water. After so many years as husband and wife, she trusted Lu Changxing unconditionally. Whatever Lu Changxing did, she would choose to support and trust him. Seeing this, the Zhao family ancestor was overjoyed internally. He thought Lu Changxing had really become arrogant, not knowing his own abilities, or perhaps greed had clouded his judgment, chasing minor benefits at the cost of his life. To dare speak in such a manner to Jin Zan. After all, This Jinzan was the highest cultivation strength in the Jin family, aside from the false core patriarch, with a 9th-level foundation establishment cultivation strength. For Lu Changxing to offend him like this was simply courting death. Very well, such arrogance, Lu Changxing. Jinzan was astounded, then immediately became furiously enraged, his voice cold. He had thought that upon his arrival, after announcing his identity and name, Lu Changxing would know difficulties and retreat ignominiously. Yet, not only did Lu Changxing not choose to withdraw, but he also showed no respect at all. This was not only a slap to his face, it was also disregarding his Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family completely. I have heard that you, the Lu couple, cultivate the dual cultivation technique, and together, your combat power is comparable to the peak of foundation establishment. Today, this elder will personally test your reputed skills to see if your arrogance is justified. Jinzan stepped out of the White Tiger Mountain array, his voice icy as he called out, revealing the spiritual pressure and mana of 9th-level foundation establishment. Though he had heard of the reputations and battle victories of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, he did not quite believe it. After all, 2 early-stage foundation establishment cultivators eliminating many foundation establishment opponents, including 2 at the late stage in a short time, that sounded like a joke. He thought it more plausible that, working together, they could perhaps manage to kill a couple of opponents if they exhausted all their strength. Especially since the memory stones that had leaked from the Red Leaf Valley market that night showed vague battle conditions, providing only a rough idea. This further convinced him that Lu Changxing was using such means to enhance his family's prestige for opportunistic expansion. Shoo! A silver gleam shot from Jinzan's eyes. In that instant, Lu Changxing realized it was some kind of divine sense attack secret technique. His divine sense had already surpassed the peak of foundation establishment, striving toward core formation, making such attacks completely ineffective against him. Divine sense attack, I can do that too. Lu Changxing snorted lightly, and a divine sense attack soul dispersion needle formed in his mind and shot out invisibly. Jinzan grunted, his brow furrowing tightly, his face showing disbelief. He had never expected that his divine sense attack would not only have no effect on Lu Changxing but that he himself would almost suffer a loss. The surrounding crowd, witnessing this scene, all showed expressions of shock. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 881. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. Although they couldn't perceive the invisible clash of spiritual consciousness, it was clear that Jinzan had just been at a disadvantage. Elder Jin, if that's all the strength you have, there's still time to retreat, Lu Changxing said calmly, clad in a green robe, looking ethereal and handsome. It seems I've underestimated Lu Mountain Lord. It's to be expected. After all, Lu Changxing is renowned for his talisman formation art and naturally has extraordinary divine sense, Jinzan said, his expression dark and unpleasant, realizing he had underestimated his opponent and had hoped to catch him off guard with his divine sense. Seeing this, the Zhao family patriarch didn't hesitate and immediately charged out of the great formation to join Jinzan. At this point, with both sides confronting each other, he naturally couldn't just watch Jinzan face 3 foundation establishment cultivators alone. Roar! At the same time, a tiger's roar echoed from the depths of White Tiger Mountain. A white-browed tiger, nearly 10 feet tall, appeared, walking on clouds and enveloped in rolling demon chi. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the tiger's fur was sparse and gray-white, its body slightly emaciated, showing signs of old age. This was none other than the clan guardian spirit beast of White Tiger Mountain, the high-rank howling cloud tiger. Originally, Lu Changxing's side had 3 foundation-building great cultivators. But now, the Zhao family also had 2 foundation-building great cultivators and a second-order spiritual beast. Moreover, this place was the spirit land of the Zhao family, protected by the fierce tiger encircling mountain great formation. This formation was a second-order top-quality array, which even an energy-refining cultivator could control to threaten Foundation establishment cultivators. Lu Yun saw that the situation was not good, his expression a bit panicked, and he quickly opened his spiritual pet bag. Eowa! The 9 Netherhound appeared instantly, with its blood-red intimidating eyes sweeping over everyone. It let out a low growl, its head looking fierce and terrifying, exuding an aura of savage evil. A second-order spiritual beast? Jin Zan and the Zhao family patriarch were taken aback upon seeing the 9 Netherhound. They hadn't expected that the small by Lake Mountain would have a second-order spiritual beast. And this beast's appearance and aura seemed far superior to the Zhao family's howling cloud tiger. Is this Xiaohei? Li Feiyu was surprised to see the 9 Netherhound. He not only recognized the 9 Netherhound but also knew that this spiritual pet was picked up by Lu Changxing 3 years ago during their arrangement. But now, in such a short time, this spiritual pet had actually advanced to the 2nd rank? It should be noted that normal demon beasts would need at least 50 to 60 years, or even a century, to have a chance at advancing to the 2nd rank. And after hunting demon beasts for many years, he could tell at a glance that the 9 Netherhound was not simple. It was at least of Earth-grade bloodline, or even some kind of mutated bloodline. Chang Sheng's good fortune? Li Feiyu was at a loss for what to say internally, feeling a surge of envy. Just a 2nd-rank early-stage demon beast, Jin Zan said coldly and dismissively. However, the Zhao family patriarch and several Zhao family cultivators noticed their clan guardian spirit beast, the howling cloud tiger, revealing a hint of fear in its somewhat cloudy tiger eyes when facing the 9 Netherhound. Gold Dragon Hand. Jin Zan snorted coldly, slapping his storage bag from which a golden claw, shining like a golden dragon claw, flew out. This claw burst forth with a force capable of piercing gold and stone, tearing through the air and lancing toward Lu Changxing. Tai Chi Talisman. Lu Changxing held Lu Maiage's fair and delicate hand, their fingers interlocked, and he whispered to her. He had previously made it known that the two practiced dual cultivation technique, so now was the time for the couple to join forces and validate that claim. This was also why he came with Lu Miaoge rather than Ling Zixiao. VVVV. In an instant, both of their mana flowed together, merging their energies. The Tai Chi talisman in Lu Maiage's hand flew out, hovering in the air, emitting radiant 7-colored halos before transforming into a small sword swirling with colors. The Water of Virtue technique included 2 life-bound spiritual artifacts, one for attack and the other for defense. The attacking spiritual artifact, the Tai Chi talisman, could transform into myriad types of artifacts for fending off enemies. Lu Changxing had planted the Tai Dao seed in Lu Miaoge, giving them a shared source of mana, allowing them to command the artifact. Clang! The Tai Chi talisman sword collided with the golden claw, causing a sound of clashing metal and sparks to fly as the two forces of mana rubbed and collided. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What a couple from by Lake Mountain's Lu clan, they really have some skills, said Jin Zan, his face changing slightly, before a cold smile appeared and he continued, but if you think you can match a Foundation establishment peak with just this, you're sorely mistaken. Gold Dragon Square Halberd. He gestured an incantation with both hands and slapped his danton, as if a dragon's roar emanated from within him. A halberd-like spiritual artifact burst forth from his body, enveloped in layers of golden light, like a roaring flood dragon, radiating strong waves of mana. Roar! Above the Gold Dragon Square halberd, ancient patterns flowed, and a shadowy flood dragon emerged, its claws and teeth ready to strike. Faced with this attack, Lu Miaoge immediately brandished her water dew, placing it above her head to create a series of azure water screens. Wind-fire formation. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly, making a gesture incantation with one hand and flicking his sleeve. The talisman that hovered behind him shot out along with the 9 mystic true signs, forming a talisman formation that trapped the Gold Dragon Square halberd. Tai Chi sword kill. Lu Changxing, feigning control over the Tai Chi talisman, shouted out commandingly. Although the Tai Chi talisman was only a low-quality spiritual artifact, at that moment, It was ferocious, exuding an overbearing and astounding magic aura, repelling the gold dragon hand and slashing straight at Jin Zan. This isn't good. Upon seeing this, Jin Zan's expression dramatically changed, and he hurriedly maneuvered his gold dragon hand to intercept the seven-colored sword. Clang! The gold dragon hand, confronting the Tai Chi talisman, began to falter, its golden luster dimming and the spiritual artifact seeming to cry out in distress. Watching this scene, everyone present was shocked and stunned. Nobody had expected that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, joining forces, would be so formidable. In just a few exchanges, they had put Elder Jin from the Jin family at a disadvantage. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 882. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K big chapter. No wonder Changxing is so confident. It turns out that when he and Miss Lu combine their strength, their combat power is like that of someone at the peak of Foundation establishment. Li Feiyu muttered to himself, astonished by his good brother's strength. He had thought that after his breakthrough to Foundation establishment he could barely catch up with Lu Changxing, but now he realized the gap between their powers was so large. Yes, the fact that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge joined forces to kill the robber cultivator happened 10 years ago. Now that 10 years have passed, Lu Changxing's cultivation level has broken through to the middle stage of Foundation establishment, and Lu Miaoge has also increased her strength. Together, they are far beyond ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators. I'm afraid only the false core patriarch could suppress them. At this moment, the Zhao family ancestor felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, sweating profusely, terrified and regretful. He knew that now was not the time for regret. The only thing to do was to rely on Jin Zan still being there, to make a quick decision. Lu Changxing must be distracted at this moment. If I take the chance to kill him, there is still a chance. The Zhao family ancestor's expression turned fierce, and he shouted loudly to his family, "Operate the Great Formation at full strength and kill Lu Changxing." During his words, he immediately brought out a resplendent purple-gold armor and, holding a long sword, charged towards Lu Changxing. "Your opponent is me." Li Feiyu looked at the Zhao family ancestor, his expression cold and uncompromising as he stepped up to meet him. Even if his opponent's cultivation level was higher than his, he, Li Feiyu, had come through many battles and had never encountered a scene he had not seen, having even killed someone at the late stage of energy refinement when he was at the middle stage. All remain calm, offer the talismans to resist the Great Formation. Lu Chuanzhen looked at the situation unfolding before him, his expression serious, as he immediately released the aura of the 9th level of energy refinement. See Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the midst of speaking, he slapped his storage bag and brought out the second-rank puppet that Lu Changxing had given him, calling out to his fellow brothers and sisters. These Lu family disciples had never experienced such a battlefield, and for a moment, some were panicked. But upon hearing Lu Quanzhen's words, they quickly calmed down and one after another took out talismans from their storage bags. "Xiaohei, that guy is up to you." Lu Chuanzhen looked at the 9 Netherhound and immediately pointed at the howling cloud tiger that was roaring out, saying quickly, "Roar!" The 9 Netherhound roared at the howling cloud tiger, causing a look of fear to flicker in the tiger's turbid eyes. This howling cloud tiger was a demon beast at the middle stage of the 2nd rank. However, the suppression of bloodlines among demon beasts was very serious. Not to mention that it was getting old and was not at its peak strength. Even if it were at its peak, facing the 9 Netherhound, it would be suppressed by bloodline alone, weakening its momentum by a third and unable to exert its full strength. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, looking at the performance of his children. Although their display was not particularly good, it was not utterly unsightly either. Especially his son, Lu Chuanzhen, whom he had always been very satisfied with. "Kill!" He looked towards Jin Zan and coldly shouted a command. The wobbling golden dragon hand, under the pressure of the Tai Chi talisman, finally let out a burdened wail and began to crack. How is this possible? Jin Zan watched Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, who looked like a couple of gods, his face extremely ugly. For the first time, he felt the enemy was so troublesome. He wanted to retract his life-bound spiritual artifact to go on the offensive for defense. But at this moment, the golden dragon halberd was trapped by Lu Changsheng's talisman formation, constantly bombarded, draining his mana. Pitif. The Tai Chi talisman sword burst forth with a dazzling array of 7 colors, extremely brilliant, and continued to slash towards Jin Zan. Damn it, how can there be such a dual cultivation technique that allows a middle-stage foundation establishment and an early-stage foundation establishment to have such strength? Jin Zan hurriedly brought out a white light pearl, forming a thick protective barrier around himself. Then with both hands forming a gesture incantation, he fully activated his life-bound spiritual artifact, the golden dragon halberd, trying to go on the offensive for defense to break the talisman formation and strike at Lu Changxing. However, in just a moment he was filled with dread. Boom boom boom. Under the assault of the Tai Chi talisman sword, his protective barrier cracked in a short while and began to widen at a visible rate. He quickly tried to stabilize the protective spirit pearl in front of him. Lu Changxing, seeing this, let out a cold snort. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the talisman formation trapping the golden dragon halberd exploded on his command. He hadn't used many talismans this time. Most of them were first-grade talismans, with only a small portion being second-grade talismans. Yet the fusion and explosion of so many talismans were still extremely powerful, causing everyone present to tremble with fear. Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact cried out in the explosion of the talisman formation, a crack appearing on its surface. Pitif. Jin Zan, who had been managing to hold on, suddenly turned pale the moment his life-bound spiritual artifact was damaged, spitting out a mouthful of essence blood, and seemed to age considerably. Stop, Lord. I, the elder, admit defeat. Jin Zan's voice trembled with fear as he spoke. He dared not continue fighting, knowing that if he did, he would likely end his life there. Lu Changxing looked at Jin Zan before him and after a moment, coldly spat out a single word, scram. Jin Zan was the great elder of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. He wasn't ready to completely fall out with the Jin family just yet. Jin Zan's face was ashen, wanting to say something but not daring to speak. Finally, glancing at his life-bound spiritual artifact, he gritted his teeth, turned into a streak of light, and fled in disarray. What? The Zhao family ancestor and the people of the Zhao family saw this scene, all shocked and appalled, despair evident in their eyes. They had never imagined that the Jinlong Ridge Jin family's great elder would be defeated so quickly by Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, forced to escape in such a sorry state. It was too unexpected, utterly inconceivable. Lu Mountain Lord. The Zhao family ancestor was fighting Li Feiyu, currently gaining the upper hand, driving Li Feiyu to retreat. But at this moment he instantly lost his will to fight, wanting to surrender and apologize. However, before he could finish speaking, Lu Changxing had already sent the Tai Chi talisman's sword slashing towards him. Pitif. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 883. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K Big Chapter, _search * the novel. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The 7-colored glow burst forth, instantly shattering the Zhao family ancestor's battle armor's defense, decapitating his head, which was filled with terror. Ancestor. Inside White Tiger Mountain, members of the Zhao family, who were managing the formation, witnessed this scene and all screamed in shock and fear. At that moment, some cried out loud, some screamed in terror, some showed faces of regret, and some even knelt down pleading for mercy. They all knew that their family was finished, White Tiger Mountain was finished. Roar! Beside them, Lu Chuanzhen commanded a second-rank puppet and the 9 Netherhound battling the howling cloud tiger, causing the tiger to scream in anguish. Lu Changxing, seeing this, showed no mercy and used the Tai Chi talisman to slay the aged howling cloud tiger with a sword stroke. He looked toward White Tiger Mountain and said indifferently, "Are you not going to open the formation quickly?" Boom! Moments later, the power of the fierce tiger encircling Mountain Great Formation slowly dissipated, and the mountain gate opened. Lu Changxing retrieved Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact. Holding Lu Miage's hand, they descended from the air like a celestial couple, arriving at the gate. At this time, all cultivators of the Zhao family had knelt down. Yet, a few still refused to submit, severing their heart veins and killing themselves. The leading Zhao family patriarch looked at the celestial couple before him, fear evident in his eyes, and said, "Zhao family patriarch Zhao Mingwei greets Lu Mountain Lord, Lu Ancestor. Please spare our Zhao family, Lu Mountain Lord, Lu Ancestor. I am willing to dissolve the Zhao family and give White Tiger Mountain and all our properties to Blue Lake Mountain as compensation. Our Zhao descendants are adept in vein exploration, purification, and artifact forging. If Lu Mountain Lord requires, we are at your disposal without any second thoughts." The Zhao family patriarch and several family elders immediately said with sobbing faces. Faced with this situation, even though they felt immense anger, they could not muster any will to resist. They could only plead for mercy, begging Lu Changxing to spare their lives and preserve their family lineage. Did you really think I came here to forcibly take over your Zhao family's spirit land and properties? You Zhao family plotted against my daughter, coveted the mines of my Blue Lake Mountain, and even called on Golden Dragon Ridge, seeking to use power to overwhelm and frame us. It is due to these actions that I intervened, Lu Changxing snorted. While he did have his eyes on White Tiger Mountain, the pretext was still avenging his daughter. Absolutely, I spoke out of turn. The Zhao family patriarch quickly nodded in agreement, slapping himself, utterly servile. Since you truly and sincerely seek to offer reparations and apologize, I naturally want slaughter all of you. Lu Changsheng's expression softened slightly. Thank you, Lu Mountain Lord, thank you. Hearing this, the Zhao members showed mixed expressions of grief and joy, promptly voicing their thanks. However, there were still many Zhao descendants who kept their heads down, clenching their fists, daring to be angry but not speaking out. After all, such an act was utterly disgraceful. Which Zhao family elders and descendants plotted against my daughter Rui? Lu Changxing surveyed the Zhao members and spoke. After a short while, 3 bodies were dragged over. These 3 knew that others might live, but they had no chance of survival. Better to end their lives by suicide than to later beg for life without being able to die. Lu Rui stepped forward, glanced at them to confirm they were the ones who had captured her, nodded in acknowledgement, her heart filled with myriad emotions. Since the primary culprits are eliminated and the grudges resolved, let us put this matter to rest for now. Lu Changxing, seeing this, spoke in a calm and mild tone. Now that your Zhao family no longer has foundation establishment cultivators to guard, it's hard to defend White Tiger Mountain. Does the Zhao patriarch have any plans? The Zhao family patriarch, hearing this, appeared stunned. Then, with a face full of sorrow and tears, he displayed a respectful and flattering demeanor. The Zhao family is willing to be a vassal to Blue Lake Mountain, completely at the disposal of the ancestor. Lu Changxing nodded. He indeed didn't have the intention to annihilate them completely. On one hand, ending this small matter with full slaughter wouldn't look good on the surface, and rumors would sound unpleasant, deterring and displeasing surrounding families. On the other hand, his family currently couldn't spare manpower to oversee White Tiger Mountain. The Zhao family lacked foundation establishment cultivators now, but they could still serve as guards. Besides, with so many spiritual root cultivators in the Zhao family, it would be a pity and a waste to just kill them all. They would indeed be useful whether sent to mine, refine artifacts, or other tasks. Father. At this moment, Lu Chuanzhen transmitted a message to Lu Changxing. HM? What is it? Lu Changxing looked at his son. The child has some thoughts. Lu Chuanzhen immediately aired some of his ideas and suggestions for the Zhao family arrangements. Okay. Lu Changxing briefly pondered, replying with one word. Others at the scene saw Lu Changxing not speaking, unknowing of what he was considering, but no one dared to inquire further. Zhao Patriarch, since your Zhao family is willing to become vassals to my family, we are all one family now. This significant matter still requires Uncle to notify any Zhao cultivators outside to come back, so we can all get acquainted. By the way, from now on, the matters of White Tiger Mountain will be under my management. My name is Lu Chuanjin, and Uncle Zhao can just call me Chuanjin. Lu Chuanjin stepped forward, his clean-cut cheeks showing a smile, his eyes narrow, and he bowed. To ensure better future relations between our families without conflicts, if there are people in your family who do not wish to stay on White Tiger Mountain and want to leave, my Lu family will not insist nor proceed with total annihilation. Just swear an oath of the Dao heart that you will not use the Zhao name of White Tiger Mountain to harbor ill intentions against my Blue Lake Mountain Lu family in the future, and I will let you leave now. Whether you become loose cultivators or rebuild a family, my Lu family will not interfere. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 884. Husband and wife join forces, problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. _5 Lu Chuanjin looked at the Zhao family members and spoke in a gentle voice. Upon hearing his words, the cultivators from the Zhao family were all stunned, their expressions filled with disbelief. But they all lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound or move. After a moment, only one Zhao family disciple strode forward, his face filled with anger as he approached Lu Chuanjin. Only one person? Lu Quanzhen's expression was unchanged, a faint smile on his face. Since it's only one person, fellow Daoist brother, please. Lu Chuanjin made a welcoming gesture and walked out of the gates of White Tiger Mountain with this person. Seeing this scene, several Zhao family disciples, and even a Zhao family elder stepped forward, indicating their desire to leave. Of course you may. Upon seeing this, Lu Quanzhen's face maintained its smile, his tone calm. However, a few Lu family disciples looked somewhat puzzled, unable to understand why Lu Chuanjin was doing something as risky as releasing the tiger back to the mountain. Although these Zhao family disciples could hardly be considered tigers, but if they were left to wander outside, it would pose an added danger to Bai Lake Mountain. Yuner, you and the Zhao family patriarch should tally up the current situation of White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing called out to his son, Lu Yun. Yes, father. Lu Yun immediately nodded and stepped forward to confirm the number of family members, property, and resources with the Zhao family patriarch. Changxing, although you let Jin Zong go this time, the conflict has been established and Golden Dragon Ridge is unlikely to let it go. At this moment, Li Feiyu looked at Lu Changxing and spoke in a low voice. Hehe, don't worry, unless the false core patriarch of Golden Dragon Ridge personally takes action, the Jin family can't do anything to me. And besides, this time I merely took over White Tiger Mountain and did not have direct conflict with their Golden Dragon Ridge, so that ancestor from Jin probably won't start a war over this trivial matter and trouble me. Lu Changxing said with a smile. Even if that ancestor of Jin family were to actually come looking for trouble, he was not the least bit afraid. However, these words he naturally would not say to Li Feiyu. He continued, moreover, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. There are quite a few families in this area who are eyeing the Jin family. These family forces may not want to see my Bai Lake Mountain rise, but they would like even less to see Golden Dragon Ridge rise. I reckon it won't be long before many families come to Bai Lake Mountain to discuss forming an alliance, hoping we confront Golden Dragon Ridge directly. Lu Changxing said in an unhurried voice. But having been a mountain master for over a decade, he understood these principles well. Golden Dragon Ridge's domineering behavior and their family currently being on the rise means that the surrounding families probably both fear and dread the Jin family, not wanting them to continue to develop. Like the earlier Jin Zan, although his combat power is average, far inferior to that robber cultivator from the Red Leaf Valley market. But with 9th layer foundation establishment and not being particularly old, not to mention condensing a true elixir which is a remote possibility. But if he had sufficient resources, there was still hope to condense a false core. Once a false core is formed, it's something nobody wants to see. However, he had just been seriously injured by Lu Changxing, damaging his life-bound spiritual artifact, injuring his origin source. It would probably take several years, even over a decade, to recover. Okay, as long as you're aware. Li Feiyu heard this and nodded, knowing these things were more clear to Lu Changxing than himself. Feiyu, this man's armor and spiritual artifacts are quite good, they should suit you well. Lu Changxing pointed to the Zhao family ancestor's spiritual artifact and spoke. Sir, the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This Zhao family, deserving of their nearly 1,000-year heritage, indeed had quite a foundation. Like these two spiritual artifacts, they were obviously not ordinary assembly line products, belonging to the top grade among spiritual artifacts. Just right, as Li Feiyu had previously mentioned wanting to forge an armor spiritual artifact, and here it was served up to him. Don't refuse, I've gained so much from White Tiger Mountain, it's only right for you to take these and later on, see if there's anything else useful. Lu Changxing straightforwardly said, raising his hand. He was always generous towards people close to him. Li Feiyu sincerely treated him well, so he would help as much as he could. All right, since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Hearing this, Li Feiyu didn't refuse anymore and laughed heartily. Chongqing, what was Chuanjin doing just now? At this moment, Lu Miaoge asked softly, unaware of Lu Quanzhen's earlier intentions. She wasn't particularly surprised or shocked by Lu Changsheng's display of cultivation and magical power. After all, having been together for so many years, she knew many things. Now, unless Lu Changxing directly achieved core formation or nascent soul, these situations were no longer able to move her. Hee, didn't you notice? Jiuyo is not here. Lu Changxing looked up at the sky and spoke softly. He naturally would not agree to his son doing something like sending the tiger back to the mountain. Huh. Only then did Lu Miaoge notice that the 9 Netherhound had disappeared at some unknown time, and she understood Lu Quanzhen's purpose. It was to first deal with the Zhao family members who harbored deep hatred against their own family. Then slowly deal with these Zhao family members now. Tens of miles away from White Tiger Mountain. Lu Chuanjin, you clearly said you would let us go. A Zhao family disciple was frantically escaping through the forest, maneuvering a spiritual artifact and using the wind commanding technique, his face showing horror. Lu Chuanjin sat on the back of the 9 Netherhound, his expression cold and silent. Roar! In a short while, the 9 Netherhound swooped beside this Zhao family disciple, biting his body in half, blood and flesh a blur. Lu Chuanjin used a flame bullet technique to burn him to ashes, then applied the cleansing technique to clean the bloodstains from the soil. Thank you for your hard work. Lu Chuanjin said to the 9 Netherhound. If it weren't for the 9 Netherhound being able to remember these people's scents and thus track them, with these people escaping separately, he really would have had trouble resolving them all. All settled, next up is handling the aftermath for the Zhao family. Lu Chuanjin squinted his slightly narrow eyes, stored the 9 Netherhound into the spiritual pet bag, tidied his robe slightly, and with his face regaining its clear and elegant appearance, he maneuvered his spiritual artifact to return to White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 885. Brothers' Conversation, Stirring from All Directions. White Tiger Mountain. Inside a great hall. Disciples of the Lu family gathered together, discussing the battle that took place today. Although they hadn't done much themselves, the events of the day still brought them a great shock and made them realize the cruelty of the cultivation world. Brother, when did you break through to the energy refinement late stage? At this moment, Lu Caizhen saw her brother Lu Chuanjin return and immediately went up to him, quietly asking with excitement. She knew that her brother worked very hard on his cultivation every day. But she hadn't expected her brother to be so formidable. Chuanjin, you've broken through to the energy refinement late stage. Brother Chuanjin, you must have reached the 8th level energy refinement now, right? Brother Chuanjin, you just let the Zhao family go. What if they renege later and harbor thoughts of revenge? Other disciples of the Lu family also spoke up when they saw Lu Chuanjin. The highest cultivation among these people was 6th level energy refinement. Advancing from the 6th to the 7th level was a significant barrier. With their spiritual root talent, breaking through this barrier would take a lot of time and possibly even require elixir medicines. However, the strength Lu Chuanjin demonstrated today was clearly not just breaking through to the energy refinement late stage. Especially in the previous battle, Lu Chuanjin not only displayed a strength far above their own but also faced danger without fear, commanding a second-rank puppet to fight together with a 9 Netherhound against a second-order monster beast. His image grew immensely formidable in their minds. Hee, I had some opportunities when I was out, so I luckily made a breakthrough. As for the Zhao family matter, don't worry. Lu Chuanjin smiled at his younger brothers and sisters, not saying much more. After all, his actions were not exactly righteous. But some thought of how long Lu Chuanjin had been away before returning and began to speculate, looking at him with increased admiration. Brother Chuanjin, you're back. I've already roughly gathered the current information about the Zhao family situation. At this time, Lu Yun, along with Lu Rui, Lu Xiaoru, and a few others returned and immediately spoke upon seeing Lu Chuanjin. Although he was the patriarch of the Lu family, they were all brothers and sisters, so there was no undue authority. Moreover, Lu Changxing had said, the matter of White Tiger Mountain was under the full responsibility of Lu Chuanjin, so even though he was the family head, he wouldn't interfere too much. Thanks for the hard work, Brother Yun. Lu Chuanjin showed a slight smile. Because Chu Zhenjin and Lu Miaoyun were very close, he and his siblings were quite close with Lu Yun and his siblings on a normal day. The two went to a side hall. Lu Chuanjin took the scroll and flipped through it, casually asking, Brother Yun, do you have any suggestions for how we should handle the Zhao family? Brother Chuanjin, you've always been better than me in these matters, you can make the decisions yourself. Lu Yun spoke directly. He knew Lu Chuanjin was better than him at handling affairs. His own election as family head was entirely due to his father considering his mother Lu Miaoyun and Qingzhou Mountain. We're just brothers talking, and besides, you'll have to take over the affairs of White Tiger Mountain sooner or later. Lu Chuanjin said softly with a smile. He had long been disinterested in family affairs, only wanting to focus on his cultivation and break through to the foundation establishment. But after meeting his uncle Chu Chang'e, he saw a much broader world. He knew the cultivation realm of Jiang country was too small. He had to set his sights higher, looking at the entire southern wilderness cultivation realm. Only by doing so could he fulfill the agreement with his uncle to form a high-quality golden core within 100 years. Now that the Zhao family has submitted to our family, the next step naturally is to stabilize the situation with the Zhao family, ensure their loyalty. In this period, we also need to draw in some people from the Zhao family. I saw that apart from the main lineage, they have 2 other lineages. Lu Yun's face showed some hesitation as he spoke. Exactly, it's about elevating the collateral branches over the direct lineage, the side branches over the main lineage. For a family like the Zhao family, where the side and collateral branches are usually overlooked and lack a sense of belonging, as long as we give them some incentives, they'll be willing to be our dogs. Lu Chuanjin said with a smile, but Brother Yun, strategies for power ultimately aren't honorable. In this world, only true power is the supreme rule. Just like the Zhao family's vassal submission to our family, they fear father, aunt, Uncle Li, and Jiuyo. So, we need not spend too much effort on the Zhao family to stabilize their situation, make them loyal. As long as father is here, all our aunts are here, the Zhao family wouldn't dare harbor any crooked thoughts. They can only obediently be our dogs. If you're in a good mood, then you reward them with a few bones. If they dare to disobey, or do things sloppily, just kill them outright. After all, there are plenty of Zhao family members willing to be dogs. Remember, petty people only fear might, not kindness. The more polite and accommodating you are, the more they'll test your limits and take advantage. Lu Chuanjin looked at the information on the jade scroll, speaking nonchalantly. Fear of might without respect for virtue? Lu Yun was stunned, then his face showed realization, and he followed with a bit of embarrassment, "Brother Chuanjin, I understand what you mean, but if this spreads and other families hear about it, won't it affect our family's reputation?" "Brother Yun, it's the same old saying, true power is the supreme rule." Lu Chuanjin looked up and smiled. "With father, all our aunts here, what can other families dare gossip about? Even when it comes to reputation, was our family's reputation great when we seized Bihu Mountain from the Yu family, or now as we take down White Tiger Mountain? How could such a thing matter compared to others? These kinds of things others won't even dare to gossip about. How could they care about such insignificant matters? As long as our family is powerful, no matter what we do, there will always be people who praise us." Lu Chuanjin said this and patted his younger brother's shoulder. He knew that Aunt Lu Miaoyun had been the main mother in the family earlier, managing all the large and small affairs in the back court, and had not disciplined Lu Yun enough. Estia the novel, the NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 886, Brothers Talk, Movements from All Directions. But in order to set an example for the family, Lu Miaoyun imposed very strict requirements on the behavior and character of Lu Yun and his siblings. During his early years under the doting care of Qingzhou Mountain's fourth elder, Lu Yun had been somewhat arrogant. However, under Lu Miaoyun's strict guidance, his personality gradually became subservient, always listening to his mother Lu Miaoyun's arrangements, lacking in decisiveness and self-confidence. In his usual conduct, he always tried to follow in his father Lu Changsheng's footsteps, yet he only managed to mimic the surface, resulting in indecisiveness and being overly righteous. This was not only Lu Yun's problem. Many of the Lu family's sons shared this issue. "I understand," Lu Yun nodded, then said with a bitter smile, "Brother Chuanjin, I've always thought that you would be better suited for the position of family head than me. In 2 more years, when the family's leadership term is up for renewal, if you are willing, I believe father will certainly agree." Lu Yun had always been aware of his own indecisiveness and lack of ruthlessness. "He, Brother Yun, do not underestimate yourself. With you as family head, at least the family is harmonious, and all your younger brothers and sisters acknowledge you," Lu Chuanjin said with a smile. Although Lu Yun did lack ruthlessness and decisiveness, he had always been diligent and fair in his role as family head, unprejudiced and uncorrupted by power, thus he was well recognized by his siblings. After the 2 brothers chatted casually for a while and settled on their plans, they began assigning tasks, mobilizing all the Lu family disciples. The Zhao family, with nearly 1,000 years of heritage, truly has quite a foundation, said Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge as they arrived at the cave mansion where the Zhao family ancestor had been in closed-door cultivation. This place was at the spiritual spring of the White Tiger Mountain spirit vein, where the spiritual energy was very dense, having reached the level of second-order superior grade. It's not to say that the White Tiger Mountain spirit vein was second-order superior grade. Rather, with only one foundation establishment cultivator, the Zhao family ancestor, and a second-order demon beast on White Tiger Mountain, there was an abundance of spiritual energy. Thus, through a spirit-gathering array, the concentration of spiritual energy in the cave mansion easily reached that of second-order superior grade. Through the origin spirit pupillary art, Lu Changxing could see that this spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain already showed signs of progressing towards a second-order superior grade spirit vein. It would immediately be promoted to a second-order superior grade spirit vein with just one spiritual origin pearl infused into it. However, this spirit vein is destined not to advance to a second-order superior grade. Lu Changxing exhaled lightly, preparing to extract part of the vein's origin source to nourish his own family's spirit vein. However, to extract from the spirit vein, he still had to make some preparations. Although he had acquired the skills of a dragon seeker, due to time constraints, he had not yet prepared the basic artifacts necessary for a dragon seeker. Thus, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge stationed themselves at White Tiger Mountain, ordering Li Feiyu to take Lu Xianji, Lu Xiaoru, and the other children back to Bai Lake Mountain. After all, these children had their own responsibilities within the family, and being away for too long would have an impact. They only left Lu Chuanzhen, Lu Yun, and Lu Rui behind to handle affairs here. At this time, after reviewing the assets and expenditures of the Zhao family over the years, Lu Changxing also came to understand why the Zhao family ancestor had coveted his family's spirit stone mine. Too poor. The Zhao family's conditions were decent and they once had their peak, but after the battle at Blackwater Pool, the family suffered heavy losses, leading to them scraping by just barely. Therefore, the Zhao family ancestor increased the cultivation of the family members, which resulted in White Tiger Mountain running at a loss year after year. It's important to know that not every family is like by Lake Mountain, with a patriarch like Lu Changxing, who not only doesn't rely on family profit for income but continuously digs into his own pockets to subsidize the family. The White Tiger Mountain's expenses were greater than its income, but the ancestral cultivation expenses couldn't be skimped on, leading to the selling of many family possessions and a growing deficit. 8 years ago, the foundation establishment hopeful cultivated by White Tiger Mountain failed their breakthrough, plunging White Tiger Mountain into even more dire straits, and making the past years extremely difficult. Alas, although the Zhao family has a special skill in artifact refining, the majority of the family's income comes from mineral veins. Now that the mining has become severe, yet they haven't developed new sources of profit, even if this incident hadn't occurred, they would face a family crisis in a few decades, Lu Changxing said, shaking his head. Due to environmental conditions, White Tiger Mountain wasn't suitable for the large-scale cultivation of spiritual medicine or spirit fields, so it was difficult for the Zhao family to find new sources of profit. Sir the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The situation at White Tiger Mountain could be used to set up factories or open marketplaces, Lu Changxing mused to himself. However, he definitely wouldn't use White Tiger Mountain to establish a marketplace. He planned to establish a branch family here and build several factories after his children's foundation establishment breakthroughs. However, to establish factories, we still need to deal with the Jin family first, because if the two families are neighbors and White Tiger Mountain comes under attack, wouldn't my losses be severe? Lu Changxing shook his head and did not dwell on this idea, deciding that White Tiger Mountain would continue as usual for now and would be considered later. Although White Tiger Mountain was poor, as a family with nearly 1,000 years of heritage, it still had some foundation. For example, in the areas of magic artifacts and spiritual artifacts. The Zhao family didn't have many ordinary magic artifacts and spiritual artifacts left, having sold most of them. But the treasury still held several top-grade artifacts and spiritual artifacts that had been passed down. These were top-grade artifacts and spiritual artifacts forged by previous generations of patriarchs for the family. If sold, they could easily fetch tens of thousands of spirit stones. Nonetheless, Lu Changxing naturally wouldn't sell these artifacts, but chose to keep them for his own family's use. The next day, the news about by Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain immediately spread, like a boulder thrown into a pond, creating huge ripples in the surrounding area, and the news also quickly spread throughout the entire Qingyun region. Because it was truly astounding. It wasn't that by Lake Mountain had taken over White Tiger Mountain. It was that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, together, had defeated Jin Zan, the great elder of Jinlong Ridge Jin family. And during the battle, they had called upon a foundation establishment friend for help, and also revealed a second-order demon beast. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 887. Brotherly Conversation, Stirrings from All Sides. You should know that the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family originally had 3 foundation establishment cultivators, Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, and Ling Zixiao. Lu Changxing in the Qingyun sect also had a foundation establishment Dao companion. Now, 2 more foundation establishment warriors have been added, making a total of 6 foundation establishment warriors. Such a force, when you look across the entire Qingyun region, aside from the beast-taming Su family and the 6 false core families, could be considered the first tier. Especially the astonishing fighting power of both Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge. During the earlier battle at the Red Leaf Valley Market, Rumors were that the Lu couple cultivated a dual cultivation technique, their fighting power comparable to those at the Foundation establishment peak, slaying 5 foundation-building great cultivators. Although everyone was surprised and considered it exaggerated and boastful, most believed it was inflated. However, at this time, Jin Zan of the Jinlong Ridge Great Elder, a renowned Foundation establishment cultivator with a hopeful future of reaching false core and even core formation, was defeated by the couple, which was wholly unexpected and remarkably astonishing. The Blue Lake Mountain Lu family has only been established for over a decade. I didn't expect it to grow to such an extent. I've heard that the Lu couple has just broken through to the Foundation establishment middle stage, and when they join forces, they are able to defeat the great elder of the Jin family. If they both advance to the Foundation establishment late stage, couldn't they then defeat a false core and contend with a nascent soul immortal? Could it be that the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family will become the 7th false core level family force? Breaking through to the late stage of Foundation establishment is not so easy. I heard that Lu Changsheng's spiritual root talent is mediocre. His quick breakthrough to the mid-stage of Foundation establishment must have involved a great opportunity. White Tiger Mountain and Jinlong Ridge are adjacent. Now that Blue Lake Mountain has taken White Tiger Mountain, for Jinlong Ridge, it must be like a thorn in the eye. They are bound to confront Blue Lake Mountain. Tiki, if that false core patriarch from the Jin family were to strike at Blue Lake Mountain and perish along with the Lu couple, that would be quite interesting. I heard that the master of Bihu Mountain is fond of beauties and children and treats his wives and children very well. If we could marry several daughters of our house to this Lu ancestor, it seems that the two families could have long-term friendly relations. Linger, Menger, follow me to meet this Lu ancestor. The Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, even if it is bound to rise in the future, Jinlong Ridge is currently the great enemy. Do we have any eligible daughters in our family now? As the news spread, countless people exclaimed and discussed, and many family forces, upon hearing the news, immediately came to meet Lu Changxing or prepared to discuss forming alliances and cooperation. Qingzhou Mountain. Changxing and Miaoge actually defeated the great elder of the Jin family? Lu Yuanding and the 4th elder, among others, were so shocked upon hearing the news that they were at a loss for words. Originally, they took Lu Changsheng's claims in the Red Leaf Valley battle as mere bluster. They purposefully put out such rumors to hype up the marketplace. To think now, their battling power is truly astonishing. They joined forces to defeat the great elder of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. You must know, both Jinlong Ridge Jin family and this great elder belong to an existence they could only look up to in Qingzhou Mountain, ones they found difficult to even meet. And now, they were defeated by Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge. Will my aunt and uncle Changxing bring trouble by offending Jinlong Ridge? Lu Muping, the newly appointed Lu family ancestor, was somewhat worried. He had been sitting in Qingzhou Mountain for years and had not yet revealed his Foundation establishment cultivation level. But as time passed, news had been subtly leaked out within the Lu family. Changxing and Miaoge dare to do this. They surely have their confidence. Lu Yuanding said decisively, his face worried, but his eyes filled with pride. After all, these two were his daughter and son-in-law. Search * the novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. How could he not be proud of hearing such news? A potential core formation great cultivator was defeated by his daughter and son-in-law. Doesn't this mean that his daughter and son-in-law have the potential to reach false core, or even core formation in the future? Haha, I never thought I'd live to see such a day as Lu Yuanding. Even if I died now, it'd be worth it. Thinking like this, Lu Yuanding suddenly laughed happily. That's something for me to say, your old wife, but it's all thanks to you, Yuanding, for bringing Changxing back into our family all those years ago. The 4th elder's face was aged, but due to taking a second-rank lifespan extension pill, his complexion was good, he said with a smile fondly. Grandpa, great-grandma, please don't talk like that. You don't need to worry about these things now, just focus on keeping yourselves healthy. Perhaps you'll be able to see the day my aunt and uncle Changxing form their core. Lu Muping respectfully said to Lu Yuanding. Although he was the Lu family ancestor, he was very respectful towards both Lu Yuanding and the fourth elder. Not only because the two were his elders but also because they were Lu Chengsheng's elders. Core formation, Lu Yuanding said nothing. But at that moment, both he and the fourth elder revealed a look of longing in their eyes, wondering if they would truly see such a day. After all, this was about nascent soul immortals. Before this, let alone core formation, even reaching false core was an existence they could only dream of. If there truly comes such a day, even if I can't see it, I would die without regrets, Lu Yuanding and the fourth elder both thought to themselves. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 888, Gene Family's Scheme, Third Advanced Level Draw Severing Spiritual Veins. Golden Dragon Ridge. Monks of the Gene family, upon hearing rumors from the outside world, were shocked and could not believe the news. After all, Gene Zan was their great elder of the Gene family, the leading figure just below their ancestor. Yet now, there were rumors that their own great elder had been defeated by the couple from Bihu Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing. How can this be possible? The great elder's cultivation level is profound. How could he lose to the Bihu Lake Mountain Lu couple? The rumors say that the Bihu Lake Mountain Lu couple practice a dual cultivation technique, with combat power comparable to the peak of foundation establishment. Could it be true? No wonder the great elder returned yesterday with a gloomy face, without uttering a single word. The monks of the Gene family discussed fervently. Gene Zan, having been defeated in a miserable state, could not afford to lose face. After returning to Golden Dragon Ridge, he went straight back to his cave mansion. This prevented the Gene family from learning about the news immediately. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Faced with this situation, the patriarch of the Gene family and several elders went to Gene Zan's cave mansion at once to inquire about the situation at White Tiger Mountain. After all, external rumors are just that, rumors. They still needed to understand from Gene Zan, the person involved. If it was just a rumor, the Gene family would naturally come forward to clarify. If it was true, the Gene family would need to salvage their face and dignity. Indeed, I was indeed defeated by the Lu couple. Gene Zan's face was pale, his breath weak, and his tone unfriendly. Essesis. 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 Though the Gene family members anticipated the truth of the message, they couldn't help but gasp upon hearing it. I recall that Bihu Lake Mountain was established just over a decade ago. The Lu Changsheng couple must be quite young, right? One Gene family elder frowned tightly and spoke. Yes, both Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge are under 60. The patriarch of the Gene family said gravely. Essesis. People gasped in surprise upon hearing this. For a foundation establishment cultivator, being in their 50s or 60s is considered very young. Like their great elder Gene Zan, who had just celebrated his 120th birthday a few years ago. And even then, he was praised as being talented enough for core formation. This, under 60 and already at the mid-stage of foundation establishment, if they are allowed to grow, the likelihood is they could break through to the late stage of foundation establishment and even peak. A Gene family elder muttered under his breath, his eyes filled with a wary look. The Lu couple is now at the mid-stage of foundation establishment and could defeat Gene Zan. If both were to break through to the late stage, their combat power would be unimaginable. Perhaps even a false core immortal wouldn't necessarily be their match. Still somewhat in disbelief, he turned his gaze to Gene Zan and asked quietly, Great Elder, is the Lu couple's combat power really so fearsome? The Lu couple's cultivation method is extremely powerful, and together, their combat power is indeed no less than the peak of foundation establishment. Even though his heart was filled with reluctance, Gene Zan admitted it. However, he snorted coldly and continued, but if it were only this, I would not have been defeated by them. The Gene family patriarch and the others looked at Gene Zan, wanting to know more specifics. Talisman formation. Gene Zan cast a stern look, his eyes sharp, and he spat out 2 words. What really put me at a disadvantage was Lu Changsheng's talisman formation. This man must have encountered a great opportunity. His divine sense is not weaker than mine, and he has understood the art of talisman formations to a very profound extent. With just a thought, he can refine talisman into formation. As long as he possesses enough talismans, this Lu Changsheng can wield combat power not weaker than the peak of foundation establishment. That's the most fearsome aspect of this couple. Together, they are comparable to the peak of foundation establishment. All this time, while Lu Changsheng multitasked, focusing on controlling the talisman formation, only our ancestor could have the power to suppress him. Jin Zan recalled the battle from yesterday, his heart filled with frustration. If it hadn't been for his life-bound spiritual artifact being trapped by the talisman formation, preventing him from exerting his full strength, he was confident he wouldn't have lost to them. Even if he couldn't defeat the Lu couple, they shouldn't have been able to defeat him either. Thinking of his life-bound spiritual artifact, Jin Zan's face grew dark and gloomy, his palms clenched. He was at the 9th layer of foundation establishment and was expected within the next 10 years to reach the peak of foundation establishment and prepare for core formation. But this battle resulted in damage to his life-bound spiritual artifact, causing harm to his origin source and requiring several years of recuperation. Even relying on heavenly and earthly treasures and spirit pills for recovery, but with his life-bound spiritual artifact taken, the future impact on his breakthroughs to core formation and false core is significant. Talisman formation techniques. Both of the Lu couple are second-rank talisman masters, especially Lu Changsheng, who ranks as a second-tier top-level talisman master. Who knows how many talismans he possesses? Yes, although talisman formations are very expensive, often requiring hundreds of talismans, few dare to bet on how many he keeps in his possession. It seems if we want to kill him, we must surprise him, swiftly and decisively eliminating him. This young man is so terrifying, he must not be allowed to remain. The Jin family members, upon hearing this, all wore solemn expressions, finding the situation with Lu Changsheng problematic. In earlier years, although they had heard of Lu Changsheng, they did not have a clear understanding. Now, through Jin Zan's recounting, they fully understood how formidable the Lu couple was. Together, the couple was comparable to two peak foundation establishment masters. In this case, only their Jin family ancestor or the entire family taking action could suppress them. But their Jin family could not possibly do so. First, the cost was too great. If their Jin family did so and were careless, it would hurt their vitality. And if the surrounding families saw their weakness, they would come to take a bite. Second, the Jin family had no reason to attack Bihu Lake Mountain without cause. In the past, Qingyun sect laid down rules. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The subordinate family forces must not unreasonably seize or dominate others' spirit land. This is also why all families, when taking action, must have justified reasons and preserve a spirit of uprightness. Besides caring about their reputation, the main reason is still the rules of Qingyun sect. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 889. Jin Family's Scheme, 3rd Advanced Level Draw Severing Spiritual Veins. Great Elder, we must report this matter to the ancestor immediately. The patriarch of Jin family looked towards the Great Elder, asking out loud. Now that such an incident had occurred, their Jin family must respond accordingly. The ancestor is in closed-door cultivation, so we may notify him normally, but there's no need for an emergency notice. Jin Zan thought for a moment before speaking out. The ancestor of Jin family, being a false core immortal, naturally no longer concerned himself with family affairs. He spent most of his time in closed-door cultivation, immersing himself in the study of techniques and magical powers, practicing the 100 arts of cultivation. He had committed such a disgraceful act. How could he have the face to ask the ancestor to come out of seclusion? However, since the Lu couple dared to do this, clearly they've concluded that our Jin family wouldn't lay a finger on them. Jin Zan's eyes flashed with a cold light as he said, since that's the case, let's give Lu Changxing a big promotion. Search * the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Great Elder, what do you mean? The patriarch of Jin family narrowed his eyes, understanding the implication behind Jin Zan's words. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Omicron, but the latter has always been proud and aloof. Even if he held the position of patriarch, he would not dare to do such a thing unless the other party initiated it. Lu Changxing dares to be so arrogant, not just because of his strength, but also because he knows that many family forces are afraid of our Jin family, eyeing us with covetous eyes, and won't openly clash with him on Blue Lake Mountain. He even intends to use the fame and power to seize the opportunity to align with other families, thereby rapidly developing his own family's influence. Jin Zan said coldly, since that's the case, let's oblige him. Release a message to the outside world, claiming that Lu Changxing and his wife, Lu Miaoge, together possess combat strength comparable to that of a false core patriarch, and that Lu Changxing's talisman formation is so powerful that even a false core patriarch would be no match for him. If it were not for my life-saving means, I would have almost died at their hands. These families fear our Jin family, do they not fear Blue Lake Mountain Lu family rising in power? Jin Zan said with a dark face and fierce eyes. Having suffered such a blow, he had lost face. And this loss of face was not something he could reclaim in the short term. So, he decided to elevate Lu Changxing, which in turn wouldn't make himself look too pathetic. Should anyone or any family force learn of this and act against Blue Lake Mountain, it would serve his purposes. Yes, Great Elder. The patriarch of Jin family nodded hastily. Also, use connections to spread this news as far as possible to the ears of several ancestors of the beast-taming Su family. Jin Zan continued. Within the Qingyun region, although their Golden Dragon Ridge was the first-tier power, they couldn't hold a candle to the dominating beast-taming Su family. After all, the Su family didn't rise to power just because of a generation of core formation old ancestors. They had a true heritage spanning thousands of years. Under the leadership of successive core formation old ancestors, they not only possessed the Water Serpent and Fire Raven Dao soldiers, but rumors also said that the family maintained an uninterrupted line of heritage with a third-tier clan guardian spirit beast. The surrounding small families might prefer Blue Lake Mountain's rise over seeing Golden Dragon Ridge thrive. But it was different for the beast-taming Su family. As one of the 3 great clans of Jiang country and the only great clan in the Qingyun region, they absolutely didn't want too many families to rise in this region. The more potential a clan had, the more they wanted to nip it in the bud. After all, it's easier to suppress others than to exert oneself. Rest assured, Great Elder. The patriarch of Jin family understood what Jin Zan meant and nodded his head. At this moment, his face was also full of solemnity. Because the more Jin Zan acted this way, it showed how much he dreaded and feared Lu Changxing. Therefore, he too began to hold Lu Changxing and Blue Lake Mountain in dread. After all, Lu Changxing's rise had indeed been full of legendary stories, making him a person endowed with extraordinary talent and great fortune worthy of forming a core, someone not to be measured by common standards. The Jin family definitely could not afford to take him lightly. Immediately, the patriarch of Jin family convened a meeting and began a series of operations. They not only spread news about Blue Lake Mountain to both praise and kill, but also targeted Blue Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain in various ways. At this moment, within the hall of White Tiger Mountain, Ning Daoist, Mo Daoist, rest assured, Lu someone's actions towards White Tiger Mountain were solely because the Zhao family went too far. Although White Tiger Mountain now belongs to Blue Lake Mountain, our cooperation with your 2 families remains unchanged, and we can deepen our cooperation and business dealings in the future, Lu Changxing said to the ancestors of Ning family and Mo family with a smile. Tai Mulim Mo family and Ning family both had good relations with White Tiger Mountain. However, in the wake of the White Tiger Mountain incident, both families rushed to White Tiger Mountain to meet and discuss cooperation with Lu Changxing. Facing this situation, Lu Changxing naturally employed a conciliatory policy. He not only continued all previous cooperation but also conceded some benefits to both families. Seeing this, both families brought their direct daughters, hoping to deepen their relationship with Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Most of the intermarriages between families were somewhat useful, but not significantly so. But it was different for Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Lu Changxing, the Lu family ancestor, not only personally took concubines but also was willing to allow the concubines to bear many children. For cultivation families that placed great emphasis on bloodline, this was a gesture filled with sincerity. After all, the future children would carry half of their family's bloodline. Provided their families offered ample support during the child's growth, wouldn't the child favor their family once grown? If a child with extraordinary talent emerged from among Lu Changsheng's children and stood out, it would be a great boon for their family. Therefore, sending a daughter with great talent from their own family to marry into another family felt worthless, painful, and hard to part with. But sending to ancestor Lu was worth it. After a long conversation, the two family patriarchs left contentedly. A satisfied look also appeared on ancestor Lu's face. The direct daughter brought by the Mo family patriarch was a 4th grade spiritual root, which was indeed quite sincere. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 890, Gene Family's Scheme, 3rd Advanced Level Draw Severing Spiritual Veins. The daughter sent by the ancestor of the Ning family only had a 6th grade spiritual root, but she was one half of a pair of twins with exceptional beauty. For such a case, it was actually quite good. After all, to become a concubine of Lu ancestor, one not only needed decent spiritual root talent. They also had to be beautiful, obedient, sensible, and adept at winning people's favor. This made the options truly quite limited. Moreover, a middle-grade spiritual root, to most foundation establishment families, was already considered to be a rare talent. If the real ancestors blessed them with a top-grade spiritual root, how could they possibly send her to be someone else's concubine? Either send her off to a sect or cultivate her well in one's own home. Bihu Lake Mountain. These days, Bihu Lake Mountain was bustling with activity, with people coming and going. Many family forces friendly with and married into Bihu Lake Mountain, upon hearing the news, came to pay their respects and offer their congratulations. Source: Web Novel. Com, updated on Omicron 0. After all, such a remarkable feat by Bihu Lake Mountain, it was only proper that these families offer their congratulations. Of course, in addition to congratulating, they also had their own motives. With Bihu Lake Mountain taking over White Tiger Mountain, naturally, many new deals and affairs would arise. They came to offer congratulations, show their face, and also sought to see if they could obtain some business cooperation, thereby getting a taste of the benefits. Since the establishment of Bihu Lake Mountain, families like the Su family of Shaohan Pool and the Ji family of Shaojing Mountain, among the first batch to seek refuge and intermarry with the Lu family, had gained quite a bounty, strengthening their families. Nowadays, seeing an opportunity, they naturally flocked over. Apart from the smaller family forces, many loose cultivators also came to Bihu Lake Mountain, hoping to join. At this moment, a foundation establishment cultivator walked out from Bihu Lake Mountain, his expression somewhat bewildered. Where did Lu Mountain Lord find his Dao companion? Knowing our objectives are for matrimonial alliances, offering our granddaughters to Lu ancestor as concubines, she actually agreed delightedly, immediately accepting. And the look on her face, it didn't seem fake at all. This foundation establishment ancestor looked bewildered, feeling as if the world was a bit surreal. After learning about the affair of Bihu Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain and knowing Lu Mountain Lord fancied beauties and valued offspring, he planned to offer his own granddaughter as a concubine to Lu ancestor, hoping for more interaction between the two families. However, upon arriving at Bihu Lake Mountain, he learned that Lu Changxing was still on White Tiger Mountain and had not returned. He thought his journey would be in vain. Unexpectedly, Lu ancestor's Dao companion, Ling Zixiao, upon hearing the intention, directly accepted on behalf of her own Dao companion, leaving him utterly confused. After all, foundation female cultivators were already fewer than male cultivators. Female cultivators looking for a Dao companion could easily find a male cultivator relatively superior to themselves. And this lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, he had heard of her. Not only was she a foundation establishment great cultivator, but she was also an array master. S.E.A. the novel fire. N.E*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Truth be told, on any ordinary day upon seeing such a cultivator, he would have to behave with utmost courtesy. If one could marry such a female cultivator as a Dao companion, it would be as if their ancestors were blessed, living in fear of displeasing the other on any normal day. Yet, this Lu mountain lord not only continued to have numerous wives and concubines, but his Dao companion showed no jealousy in this matter, even helping her Dao companion take concubines. It was simply incomprehensible. Could it be just because this Lu ancestor is so incredibly handsome? This foundation establishment ancestor recalled seeing Lu Changsheng at an auction in Red Leaf Valley early in his years. He had to admit, Lu ancestor's otherworldly handsome looks, with a stature and temperament like lofty pines and elegant orchids, truly seemed like a banished immortal. Otherwise, his own granddaughter would not have blushed and timidly let her grandfather decide everything about becoming a concubine. White Tiger Mountain. As Lu Changsheng brought some of his own people from Bihu Lake Mountain, under the arrangements of Lu Chuanjun and Lu Yun, the power of the Zhao family patriarch was gradually stripped, leaving only a nominal position. And all cultivators of the Zhao family had taken a heart demon oath and signed a spiritual contract, completely submitting to the Lu family. It's just that many cultivators of the Zhao family, upon hearing about the family affairs and receiving the summons, chose not to obey the order to return to the family and instead vanished without a trace. After all, with such a major incident occurring on White Tiger Mountain, some of them were worried that the Lu family would turn treacherous and execute mass slaughter. So they chose to give up their Zhao family identity, live incognito, and become loose cultivators. Facing such situations, even Lu Changsheng was powerless. For most family forces, this issue was considered insolvable. To completely control and wipe out every single one was too difficult. There would always be some fish that slipped through the net. But such fish that slipped through the net were considered harmless. To be able to, as recorded in historical tales, have one's family and clan destroyed, to find a stroke of luck while outside, and then become a great cultivator for revenge, was exceedingly rare. Or, put another way, once entering the cultivation world and embarking on the path of cultivation, whether it is a loose cultivator walking the great Tao alone or a cultivator establishing family forces, one must be prepared for such outcomes. Artifact Refining Pool. Lu Changsheng was having several Zhao family cultivators forge a magic artifact for him to sever spiritual veins. Although the Zhao family no longer had any second-rank artifact refiners, forging a few simple magic artifact components was still within their capabilities. Just then, abruptly, a system notification rang in Lu Changsheng's mind. Congratulations to the host for reaching a progeny count of 200, you have been rewarded with one advanced level lottery draw. Just as I thought. Upon hearing this system notification, Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat, and a hint of joy flashed in his eyes. He had previously guessed that reaching 200 offspring might grant him an advanced level lottery draw. Now it seemed his guess was correct, and the child money had arrived as expected. I wonder what I will draw this time, muttered Lu Changsheng to himself, full of anticipation. On his first advanced level draw, he obtained the 9-treasure Jade Rui. On the second advanced level draw, he gained the Mount Sumeru Tree King. Now with the third draw, he thought it wouldn't let him down either. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 891. Gene Family's Scheme, Third Advanced Level Draw Severing Spiritual Veins. _4. If I could draw a suitable cultivation technique for myself, that would be fantastic, Lu Changsheng thought to himself. He was currently cultivating the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture, which belonged to the top-level techniques. But through Hong Lian and Su Rian's cultivation of beast techniques, he knew that there were techniques at even higher levels than orthodox level in this world. If he could cultivate such techniques, it would be of significant help to his future cultivation. However, these kinds of techniques were rare in the world, and even Hong Lian had only heard a bit about them and obtained a beast technique. Now, the only possibility he had to obtain such a high-level technique was through the system. Without giving it much thought, under the respectful and fearful gazes of several cultivators, Lu Changxing walked out of the Zhao family's forge pool and came to the peak of a mountain, silently chanting, "System, draw." Instantly, the advanced level lucky draw roulette appeared, and golden lights started to spin. A moment later, the golden light paused and stopped on the heavenly and earthly treasures reward column. Ding! Congratulations, host, you've obtained an exotic treasure, Myriad Spirits Bottle. Reward has been deposited in the system space, host can check at any time. A small cylindrical bottle with a slender neck, emerald green as jade, emerged from the draw platform, accompanied by a system notification sound. Exotic treasure, Myriad Spirits Bottle? Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows. Although it wasn't the technique he wanted, he was still quite appreciative of the exotic treasure. After all, the three major exotic treasures he had obtained from previous draws, the Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates, Profound Origin Bead, and Misty Sky Bead, were all quite good. Except for the Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates, the other two had been quite helpful to him. Especially the Profound Origin Bead. Lu Changsheng's mental spirit stirred slightly, and he looked towards the system space. Myriad Spirits Bottle, Grade, 5th Rank. Description: the treasure of Greenwood Valley's sect, initially created by the founder, Elder Qingmu, after observing a Xiantian treasure, greatly assists in nurturing spirit grass and spiritual medicine. 5th Rank, and it's greatly helpful for nurturing spirit grass and spiritual medicine? Is this Greenwood Valley some kind of spiritual plant master sect, using such an item as their sect's treasure? Lu Changxing looked at the description of the Myriad Spirits Bottle in front of him, frowning. He felt that the reward he had received was somewhat disappointing. After pondering for a moment, he came to a cave mansion and took the Myriad Spirits Bottle out of the system space. Immediately, a palm-sized, emerald green bottle emerged in his hand, radiating a faint jade light, and decorated with several leaf-shaped patterns. The material of this bottle was unknown. Seeming like jade but not jade, like gold but not gold, like stone but not stone, like wood but not wood, its material was unclear, heavy in hand, exuding an ancient and abundant aura. Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew, 1 drop condenses every year, a single drop grants 100 years of growth? Lu Changxing, now aware of the specific effect of the Myriad Spirits Bottle, was surprised. Just as the system description indicated, this Myriad Spirits Bottle was greatly helpful in nurturing spirit grass and spiritual medicine. The little bottle could absorb the essence of heaven and earth on its own, condensing a liquid called Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew inside. This Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew could be used to nurture spirit plants. For just planted spirit grass or spiritual medicine, a single drop could make them grow into a 100-year-old spiritual medicine within a few days. 400-year-old spiritual medicine, or particularly rare and difficult to cultivate spirit grass or spiritual medicine, the effect was somewhat lesser. But a single drop could still make them grow 60 to 70 years. 4,000-year-old grade medicines, the effect would be even less, adding only about 30 to 50 years of growth. But regardless, this Myriad Spirits Bottle was indeed tremendously helpful for nurturing spirit grass and spiritual medicine. One could say that with this Myriad Spirits Bottle, there was no lack of century-old or millennium-old spiritual medicine. This Myriad Spirits Bottle is effective on all spirit plants. Does this mean I can use it to nurture Mount Sumeru, as well as the Luminous Treasure Tree, Auspicious Tree, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom? In that case, even if my family spirit land hasn't reached 3rd rank, the spirit plants could grow quickly, thereby rapidly advancing Yunar, Jinjin, and Wanhuan's Heaven and Earth longevity technique? Lu Changxing paused, thinking about Mount Sumeru Tree King and his 3 wives at home. The Mount Sumeru Tree King was currently just maintaining growth, with practically no improvement in its cultivation. Although Lu Miaoyun had made a breakthrough in 9th-level energy refinement thanks to the Heaven and Earth longevity technique, due to the limited conditions of the family's spirit land, the growth of the luminous treasure tree was too slow, potentially taking decades to break through to foundation establishment. But this myriad spirits heaven dew from the myriad spirits bottle could allow spirit plants to achieve 100 years of growth within just a few days. Even though the effect on such third-rank spirit plants as the Mount Sumeru ancient tree and the luminous treasure tree would be diminished, it could still result in decades of growth. Looking at it this way, this myriad spirits bottle is not bad, deserving the status of a sect treasure. Moreover, if I acquire any rare spirit plant, I can rely on this myriad spirits bottle to mature it rapidly, even mass-produce it. Lu Changsheng looked at the green bottle in his hand, his eyes slightly narrowed, silently pondering. He felt this myriad spirits bottle was still a treasure, worth his advanced level lucky draw. However, it doesn't even come with a single drop of myriad spirits heaven dew to start off, which is rather thoughtless. Lu Changsheng remarked, somewhat speechless as he finished examining the myriad spirits bottle. Gathering myriad spirits heaven dew was quite simple. As long as it was placed outside, it would automatically absorb the heaven and earth essence and condense myriad spirits heaven dew. He didn't need to do anything himself. But the thought of waiting a year to see the effect truly made Lu Changsheng a bit uncomfortable. A month later, the magic artifacts needed by Lu Changsheng to sever the spiritual vein origin were finally ready. He and Lu Miaoge came to the spiritual spring at White Tiger Mountain. Sister Miaoge, I have a secret technique that can sever the origin source of a spirit vein, used for nurturing and upgrading other spirit veins. I am planning to sever part of the origin source of the White Tiger Mountain spirit vein to cultivate the Bai Lake Mountain spirit vein. Keep watch outside for me, and don't let anyone disturb me. Chapter 892, Jin Family's Scheme, 3rd Advanced Level Draw Severing Spiritual Veins. _5 Lu Changsheng said to his wife, Lu Miaoge. Though he dared to multitask with alchemy and talisman making, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly when it came to severing a spirit vein. Thus, he called upon Lu Miaoge to act as his protector. Severing the origin source of a spirit vein? Lu Miaoge's beautiful face slightly froze, hearing of such a shocking and unconventional method for the first time. She didn't ask further and immediately nodded, all right Changsheng, rest assured. Origin Spirit Pupillary Art. Lu Changsheng performed the Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, his eyes shooting out 2 purple lights, hoping to thoroughly understand the details of the spirit vein. Severing a spirit vein wasn't something to be undertaken lightly. A precise location on the spirit vein had to be chosen. After investigating the general situation through the Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, Lu Changsheng slapped his storage bag and the true Yang 5 element sword appeared. Clang! Lu Changsheng wielded his flying sword, planning to pierce through the ground. This spiritual spring was located right beneath the cave mansion. Although Lu Changsheng had disabled the formation's prohibitions of the mansion, the ground was still covered with a layer of some unknown metal. Had it not been for Lu Changsheng's exceptional cultivation level, an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator would have really struggled to break through this metallic floor. Clang, clang, clang. The continuous metallic clang echoed throughout the cave mansion. It took almost an hour before Lu Changsheng managed to break through the thick metallic foundation of the ground. Damn it, in the future, I should always carry a shovel or hoe-type artifact with me. Otherwise, this is just too troublesome and wears out the flying sword too much. Lu Changsheng exhaled deeply, feeling that using a flying sword for such laborious tasks was truly too strenuous. Yet, he couldn't very well allow others to do this sort of hard labor. After contemplating for a moment, he took out Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact from the storage ring to use as a shovel. At this moment, the utility of Mr. Lu's quasi-third order body refining shone. Just like this, Lu Changsheng mined while checking the spirit vein's condition through the Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, finally locating the White Tiger Mountain spirit vein. This spirit vein looked like a pyramid-shaped massive rock layer, spreading its radiance throughout the entire White Tiger Mountain, with 3 small first-grade spirit veins branching alongside. A spirit vein could also be considered a type of heavenly and earthly treasure. Throughout endless years, for various reasons, it slowly formed by aggregating the essence of heaven and earth, referred to by dragon seekers as the spirit of mountains and rivers. The spirit of mountains and rivers was very special. Once formed, it would continuously generate spiritual energy. However, it grew incredibly slowly and couldn't be moved even a fraction of an inch. During the time, if there were any changes to the terrain of mountains and rivers, it would affect the spirit of mountains and rivers, thereby affecting the entire spirit land. Sigh. Lu Changsheng looked at the spirit vein before him, and after confirming the situation, he sat down to meditate and adjust his state. The act of severing the origin source of a spirit vein couldn't be taken lightly. Any mishap could potentially ruin the entire spirit vein. Had he not gained a complete and advanced level in the second-order dragon-seeking technique, as if he had experienced countless battles and was extremely skilled, he wouldn't dare to try this lightly. Subdue mountains and rivers. Lu Changsheng produced a compass in his hand, made a gesture incantation, and sent the compass flying. The compass displayed an earthy yellow luster, enveloping the entire pyramid-shaped rock layer. Then he slapped his storage bag. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Black nail talismans were controlled by Lu Changsheng and inserted into the origin source of the spirit vein. The spiritual energy dissipation from White Tiger Mountain was noticeably slower. Lu Changsheng's expression was serious as he focused intently, directing spells at each of the black nail talismans. After a long while, the pyramid-shaped massive rock layer was wrapped in an earthy yellow luster, making the spirit vein seem as if it were slumbering, with no spiritual energy leaking out. Origin Spirit Intercept Vein Technique. Immediately, Lu Changsheng saw this and released a tri-footed round cauldron above the spirit vein, continuously forming gesture incantations with his hands. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The spirit vein, resembling a giant rock layer, seemed to tremble at this moment, with spiritual energy shaking and spilling out, causing the entire terrain of White Tiger Mountain to seem to vibrate. Faced with this situation, Lu Changsheng was also a bit nervous. Nevertheless, after the spirit vein trembled for a moment, the tri-footed round cauldron, glowing with an ancient luster, merged into the massive rock layer. Seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't relax, remaining focused on the situation before him, and kept sending out spells from his hands. In this manner, time passed little by little. Several days later, Chi! Lu Changsheng let out a soft shout, directing spell after spell at the spirit vein. The tri-footed round cauldron that had blended into it slowly re-emerged from the spirit vein. It was visible that the interior of the previously empty tri-footed round cauldron now contained a small rock layer that resembled the spirit vein. It's done! A look of joy emerged in Lu Changsheng's eyes. Retrieve! With a soft shout, he formed gesture incantations with his hands and slowly retrieved the tri-footed round cauldron. Then he repeated the steps, pulling out each of the black nail talismans that had been driven into the spirit vein. As he did so, the spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain began to disperse spiritual energy once again. However, the concentration of spiritual energy was clearly inferior compared to before. The spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain was almost advancing towards a second-order superior quality, but now, even maintaining a second-grade medium quality seemed forced. Chapter 893, Marriage Alliance, Cultivating the Spirit Vein. Changsheng, how is it? Lu Miaoge saw Lu Changsheng walking out of the cave mansion, her beautiful eyes full of tender concern. She was here, faintly sensing the changes in the spirit vein. Knowing that Lu Changsheng wanted to intercept the origin source of the spirit vein, it was certainly not easy. The great task is accomplished. Lu Changsheng looked at his wife's gentle and beautiful face and laughed out loud. As he spoke, he gently lifted his palm, and a tri-footed bronze cauldron wrapped in earthy yellow luster appeared. Is this the origin source of the spirit vein inside? Lu Miaoge looked at the small cauldron, her beautiful eyes filled with surprise and curiosity. She knew about the spirit vein but had never seen what it looked like and did not know what the origin source of a spirit vein was. Or rather, most people knew about spirit veins but could not articulate what a spirit vein was. Yes, This is the origin source of the spirit vein that I intercepted from White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing nodded and explained the principle to her. Changxing, how much impact will this interception of the spirit vein have on White Tiger Mountain? Lu Miaoge asked gently. Intercepting a spirit vein was a matter of great significance. If other families knew, they would all be wary. There will be an impact, but it won't be too severe. The spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain was about to advance to second-order superior, now it barely maintains at second-grade medium quality. Currently, the Zhao family has no foundation establishment cultivators. They might notice, but it won't be very obvious. Lu Changxing said so. Since he had intercepted the spirit vein, he naturally considered this aspect. Just barely maintaining second-order middle-grade spirit vein. Lu Miaoge nodded slightly. This level of spirit vein was enough for one family. Moreover, given the current situation of the Zhao family, they did not have much demand for the spirit vein. Now that the matter is almost handled, I'll leave this place under Quanzhen's management. Let us first return to Bihu Mountain. Lu Changxing put away the small cauldron and said aloud. Now that the situation at White Tiger Mountain was stable and the spirit vein was intercepted, he naturally planned to return. During these days, the rumors about him, White Tiger Mountain, and Golden Dragon Ridge had grown bizarre, and there were also some alliance matters that needed to be addressed by him as the old ancestor. Okay. Lu Miaoge replied softly. Immediately, the two went to the main hall of White Tiger Mountain and called all their children. Chuanjin, you take responsibility for White Tiger Mountain, and I temporarily entrust Jiuyo to you. Should there be any problems or situations, contact me immediately. If forces from Golden Dragon Ridge or other powers, including robber cultivators, come to cause trouble, you must use a talisman to escape immediately. Do not engage them. Lu Changxing looked at his son Lu Chuanjin and instructed. He was very relieved to have his son, Lu Chuanjin, in charge of White Tiger Mountain. As for the Jin family of Golden Dragon Ridge, it was practically impossible for them to suddenly act against White Tiger Mountain. Should such a situation arise, Lu Chuanjin could also escape immediately using a talisman. Yes, father. Lu Chuanjin, clothed in a black brocade robe and with a clear and distinct face, bowed and replied. Just delegate the work to others. You should mainly focus on cultivation. If the Zhao family dares any malice, just kill them. Lu Changxing patted his son's shoulder and spoke softly. Even though all members of the Zhao family had taken the Heart Demon Oath and signed a spiritual contract. But whether it was a Heart Demon Oath or a spiritual contract, the binding power was limited for those cultivators who didn't care for the Great Tao and were not afraid of death. After all, spending their life this way, they weren't afraid of death. The mere spiritual contract and oath, what restraint could they provide? Although Lu Changxing had means such as the divine forbidding talisman, these people were simply not worth spending such means on. Please rest assured, father, your son understands. Lu Chuanjin, with a clear and distinct smile and a gentle arch of his brows, replied with a touch of humor in his eyes. Beside him, Lu Yun listened to his father's words, recalling the conversations he had with Lu Chuanjin these days. His father had come from being a mere son-in-law to the incredible position he held today in only tens of years, naturally not just superficially gentle and elegant. Or rather, his gentleness was reserved for family and close ones, but he was not the same with outsiders. Yuna, Caijin, Qing Song, let's go. Lu Changxing called out to several of his children. Immediately, they boarded the spirit boat and returned to Bihu Mountain. Safe travels to the mountain master. Safe travels to the old ancestor. At the mountain gate, a cultivator from the Lu family and two from the Zhao family immediately saluted Lu Changxing respectfully. One day later, Lu Changxing and his party returned to Bihu Mountain. With his return, the family was instantly filled with joy. After all, this matter was a great celebration for Bihu Mountain. Now that they had triumphantly returned, naturally, a grand celebration was due. Lord, Father, Daddy. One by one, the concubines with their children came forward to congratulate Lu Changxing. Many of them didn't understand much, nor the implications and consequences of Bihu Mountain taking over White Tiger Mountain. All they knew was that their husband, their father was formidable, and the family had grown stronger. Very good, very good. Lu Changxing faced such a scene with a smile, laughing heartily. It had to be said, every time he saw his wives and children looking at him with admiration and warmth, congratulating him, his heart felt wonderfully at ease. The path of cultivation is lonely. What a solitary existence it would be? Only with profound love can one comfort the world. Constantly having people by your side, caring, supporting, and joining in pursuing the great Tao, can I always have the persistence and motivation to diligently cultivate and seek eternal life. Lu Changxing murmured to himself, feeling a sense of clarity in his thoughts. In his early years, he knew the hardships of the world yet promised profound love to comfort people. A path warmed by the sun, a cultivation journey shared together. If the path of cultivation were accompanied only by loneliness, indeed the heights would be unbearably cold. My lord. Moments later, Ling Zixiao learned of Lu Changxing's return and came over holding her daughter. Chapter 894. Marriage Alliance, Cultivating the Spirit Vein. Bai Ling acted as a junior attendant, cradling Lu Lingxiao at her side. Ever since Ling Zixiao gave birth to the twins, Bai Ling had taken on an additional job, helping Ling Zixiao care for the children. So many. Lu Changxing was slightly startled upon hearing Ling Zixiao's words. He had spent these recent days on White Tiger Mountain, receiving congratulations from numerous family forces. They hoped to establish friendly relations, forging connections that would last for a century. But there had only been 4 families in total, bringing 5 concubines. Yet Ling Zixiao indicated that, during this time, a total of 10 families had come to pay their respects and offer congratulations, wishing to have their own descendants serve the Lu ancestor. Not too many, there are also some small families, forces, as well as loose cultivators that admire the Lu Mountain Lord and want to recommend themselves, but they were tactfully rejected by me. Dressed in a lake blue palace dress, her figure full and shapely, her face dignified and beautiful, Ling Zixiao said with a smile that was not quite a smile, "My lord wouldn't blame me, would he? What are you saying? Just let Zixiao and you handle it." Although the Lu ancestor felt this was good news, he naturally would not show too much happiness at this time. Immediately after, the group began discussing this matter. They ultimately decided that 1 month later, Lu Changxing would directly hold a grand wedding ceremony, taking these daughters of the families as concubines. This not only showed goodwill towards these families, it would also serve as an opportunity to discuss cooperative matters with these families in further detail. My lord, the rumors in the outside world are growing more and more outrageous, even claiming that you and Miaoge, working together, are comparable to a false core and that your talisman formation skills are strong enough to slay a false core. Although many know this news is likely a rumor spread by the Jin family and other families, they still feel apprehension after hearing it, Ling Zixiao continued to say to Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing fell silent for a moment. Initially, when he heard this news, he wondered how the Jin family knew his secret. Could it be that the Jin family also had the art of divination and inference? However, after some thinking, he realized that the Jin family was deliberately setting him up, raising him high with this tactic to restrict the development of his own family. After all, there was only so much cake to go around. If one family force wanted to rise, they necessarily had to take the cake from others. By Lake Mountain displaying such astonishing combat power at this time, it would not be possible to limit themselves just to Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain alone. They were bound to encroach on the power of other family forces. Faced with this situation, other families all felt a sense of crisis. This was also why so many family forces had come to Bai Lake Mountain to show their goodwill. Because it was no longer just about the surrounding family forces. Many family forces far from Bai Lake Mountain had also come to probe their attitudes, to understand the situation. We don't need to care about these messages, we just have to keep a low profile for now in our family. Regarding White Tiger Mountain, my plan is to hand it over to the Ning family, Mo family, and several smaller neighboring families. This way, even if White Tiger Mountain encounters any accident, we would not suffer much loss. It also tells the world that my reason for taking down White Tiger Mountain was not for the expansion of family forces, but indeed due to the grievances between the two tribes. Lu Changxing spoke, conveying his general thoughts. His family's biggest difference from other family forces was that they did not need to develop the family through too much aggression and territorial expansion. As long as they maintained their base, with enough time, once the children grew up, the family would be made. So for now, they could let go of the benefits of White Tiger Mountain. It also showed the world an image of being harmless. But truth be told, if it hadn't been for the incident with his daughter Lu Rui, even if his family's spirit land was indeed somewhat insufficient, Lu Changxing would not have chosen to seize and occupy spirit lands. After all, such a matter had become a noisy issue, which didn't fit with his family's development tone. All right. Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoyun nodded in agreement, and then Lu Changxing gave his son Lu Yun a few instructions. He had long instructed him about this matter, but some of the things discussed just now needed to be handled by his son, the family head. Like the matter of the concubine wedding. At this time, Li Feiyu saw that Lu Changxing's conversation was nearly finished, and came over to inquire about the situation. Upon learning that the matter was at a pause and there was nothing significant, he bid farewell and prepared to return to Azure Phoenix Immortal City. He had originally come back just to have a look at his family and make a clean break, before dedicating his heart to pursuing the Great Tao. It just so happened that the White Tiger Mountain incident occurred, and he had been stationed at Bai Lake Mountain just in case any dangerous situations arose. Now that the matter was concluded, he naturally hurried back to take up his post. Lu Changxing was silent for a moment upon hearing this. Then, with a smile on his face, he patted his sturdy shoulder and said, "All right, Feiyu, take care on your journey. I wish you soar high and enjoy eternal vitality on the immortal path." Knowing his friend had a firm Tao heart, he did not attempt to persuade him. "Keep these talismans with you, they might be of some help should you encounter any danger." Lu Changxing took out 10 second-tier top-grade talismans and 3 third-rank talismans and handed them to Li Feiyu. "This, Changxing, this is too precious. I've already received many benefits from you on this return visit. I can't take any more." Although Li Feiyu could not immediately see the exact grade of the talismans, he could tell they were of very high quality. On this visit, he had acquired the body-refining techniques, Earth Fiend Holding Heaven skill. He had also obtained 3 spiritual artifacts from White Tiger Mountain. Feeling already deeply indebted to Lu Changxing and unable to repay him, he was unwilling to accept more benefits. "You will face dangers in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, better keep them. At worst, consider it a debt, and when you have the means, you can repay me. Or someday, when my family expands its business to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, I might need you to take good care of me." Lu Changxing spoke with a laugh. He knew Li Feiyu was very proud at heart and did not like owing too much to others.